Yes, I am still alive, and yes, I still do play Xenoblade video games. Today I have a speedrun of Torna the Golden Country for you, and I'm going to be fully commentating it since my last full commentary video is a little bit outdated as far as strategies and just general time in the run. I think it was a 240, and now we're at 228, which is a new world record by about 4.5 minutes, which is pretty impressive. It took me a while to get this, actually. When I started trying to grind out this time, my attempt counter was in the 30s. It's at 191 now on this specific attempt. So there was a lot of grinding that went into this. I am doing post-commentary over the video. I had myself muted during the actual run, but I still had face cam on, so you can see all my wonderful reactions over the course of the run, and see my face if you care about that. If you enjoy speedruns, if you enjoy Xenoblade at all, make sure to subscribe to the channel and look forward to all the Xenoblade 3 content that will be coming in the future, as well as more speedruns, more guide content, all of that kind of stuff. Let's focus on the commentary of the run now. Starting things off, just the general tutorial here. The tutorial's a little whack in this game. There's a bunch of really strange mechanics in it that can cost you a couple seconds if they don't go well, like the first enemy. If you have to kill it with like specific moves, otherwise you'll de-equip your weapon before the second wave of enemies here, which will lose a little bit of time. Sometimes the your max affinity doesn't come fast enough to do enough damage to the Jubal Ferris there. This enemy, you have to hit a certain health range in order to level 4 it, and it cannot die if you don't level 4 it. It'll just stay alive with like 0 HP. It's really weird and whack. The best strategy I've found for this section here is to just do a Jin level 2, followed by triple cancel into a Laura level 2. So triple cancel, that probably doesn't make any sense. So essentially I use my 3 auto attack combo with Jin. If you play this game, you know what that is. It's where you auto-attack 3 times by standing still, and on the third auto-attack, that is when your combo hits its, like, maximum. That's the last hit of the combo. And if you do an art cancel, if you use an art at that exact moment, you will cancel into that art. And the later into your combo you cancel into an art, the stronger the damage ratio on that art will be. So, by going all the way to the third art, and then canceling into Jin's art, into my swap to Laura, into her art, gives me the maximum amount of damage on that, and it's something I'm going to be taking advantage of in a lot of situations in this run to get some faster times, especially on these earlier fights. So after that, I go into the menu and turn off enemy aggro. Basically what this does is allows enemy not to aggro us in the overworld, except for unique monsters. And that's helpful just because it allows us to not have to worry about them aggroing us when we're trying to like collect things or just walk around the map or anything like that. It probably doesn't save too much time, and I know the general Xenoblade experience is not turning this off, but since it's an option for the speedrun, there's no reason not to, unfortunately. If you're watching this and you don't know anything about Xenoblade, this is a prequel to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, set 500 years in the past, that gives some more background information about some of the characters that appear in Xenoblade 2, and details the information on the Aegis War, one of the key important events in the lore of the Xenoblade series. We have our main characters, Laura and Jin. Jin is one of the strongest blades, and he is going to be the main protagonist of our story here, where we are learning a lot about his background and how he came to be who he was in the base game of Xenoblade 2, and his involvement in the Aegis War. Now, the Aegis War is an event between these two really powerful blades. Blades are essentially artificial, not necessarily artificial, but biological humanoid existences that are basically immortal. They don't age or anything like that. They can be summoned from these core crystals, think like a gacha. And Jin is one of these blades. When the driver, the person who pulls the blade, dies, the blade will return to their core crystal and wait until another driver activates their core crystal and brings them back out. They will have no memory of their past life or anything like that, and this game will explore some of the ramifications of that. The Aegises are 2 special blades that don't have these limitations. They are essentially like supercomputer core crystals that were designed by the architect of this world, you could say. But we're getting way too deep in the lore. I should probably focus on what's happening in the speedrun. So Torna's an interesting game where we have to do a lot of collecting, and that's basically what I've been focused on really early on in this run here. There was a couple things we did in the last run where I would go collect a bit more collection spots in the interest of safety, but since I was going for world record here, I was playing pretty risky. Like, before doing the camp, I would normally go out and collect that sour avocado spot earlier, instead of just doing it after the camp only, which I did here. And we also used the camp to level up to level 3 here instead of fighting the Volf enemy at the beginning, because it's a little bit faster to do that, and it's only 1 experience to level up, because I guess it's just Monolith trolling us. As far as collectibles, there's a lot of things we're going to need to craft in this game, a lot of items we're going to need for side quests in this game, and I'll explain that a little bit more when we get to it, but I'll try to briefly explain what all we need here. So, we need roughly 13 sour avocados total. You don't exactly have to have 13, because there's other items that can fill the place of some of those. You need, from the bug spot I'm collecting now, you need 3 sand upas total. I think I got 2 at the last spot, and I got 0 there because I'm just that lucky. Got 4 berry hoppers, which we don't need at all. I've collected 2 flower spots. I needed to get 3 Lily of the Sunny Valley from those 2 spots. And if I don't, there is one other spot a little bit later that we can get it from. But you need all 3 of those to craft something that's going to be pretty important. We need the fish spots. The fish spots will give us Horned Sculpin, Torna Trout, and Grimdark Crab. We need all of those. We need 6 Torna Trout total. That'll be really easy to get. Horned Sculpin, we also need 6. Those are pretty common as well, so shouldn't be too big of a deal. The Grimdark Crab we need 3 of, and we need them pretty quickly. This isn't super, super rare. I don't know how long it took me to get them in this run. I can't exactly remember, but I think I actually did get them pretty fast. I think my Zarya RNG, which is this first area here, was really, really good as far as that is concerned. So this is our general first menu here, just powering up our characters, equipping some items we picked up on the way here, so we can do this next fight, because we're a bit underleveled, so we definitely want to be fully equipped for the next fight. It's a level 8 boss-type enemy. We are level 3. But fortunately, because of how the combat system in this game works, it's not really a big deal that we're that underleveled, because we can still easily deal with it just based on the strength of Laura and Jin and their abilities here. So I've done this fight a lot, and I feel like the fastest way to do this fight is what I've come up with here. It might not be, maybe there is a faster way, I don't know. But I start off with a triple auto attack cancel Path of Thorns with Laura, and then I do another one to do Hungry Snake. Hungry Snake is a break attack. So if you break an enemy, you can topple them right afterwards. If you topple them, they won't be able to move for 5 seconds, and they'll just be stuck on the ground. Break lasts for 10 seconds, and it also interrupts the enemy action. So no matter what they're doing, if you break them, it'll at least interrupt that, but then they'll go back to doing something else unless you topple them. From there, I will cancel into Jin's other art, and then use some more arts with Jin to get his level 3 up, and max affinity. The golden thread between Laura and Jin is max affinity. That increases our damage by a lot in this case because of some bonuses for Jin. And then from there, I triple auto cancel Jin into another art, into Laura switch, into Path of Thorns, and then I charge up Path of Thorns again and cancel that one more time. And then we swap here, and then I use the A button to use Jin's special move, this level 3 special here. Don't know if I explained that as well. Then I use one more art with Jin, it missed there, and then I use level 1 special, and if all goes well, that'll kill. It didn't quite kill because I missed the attack, but overall still a pretty good fight, 20 seconds ahead based on this riskier and newer route I've been doing here. And then from there, we go instantly into another fight. I'll try to explain a little bit more about this later, but we're fighting Adam and Mithra. You might recognize Mithra. She's a pretty recognizable character these days in Smash and everything like that. So why exactly are we fighting her? Well, that's because she's really evil. Just kidding. So, basically, Adam is a prince of the country we're currently in, and Mithra is a blade he pulled, the Aegis blade, that he has for very specific reasons to fight the other Aegis. Jin is a blade that used to be one of the, paragons of Torna, one of the most powerful blades. It was stolen by thieves a long time ago. Laura accidentally activated it when she was 10 years old, and Jin basically vowed to protect her ever since. And Adam's like, should I capture you guys? Because he randomly found them after they'd been in hiding for years. So that's why they're fighting here. And Adam says there, it doesn't look like we'll be capturing them. And after the fight, Adam's like, haha, I was just testing you. I love you guys. And then he just joins their party, so. Really cool. The gargoyle enemy that we fought before this is a minion, sort of the other Aegis, Malos. So Malos is the main antagonist of this game. He is a much more unhinged and crazy Aegis that wants to basically destroy the world. Mithra is his counterpart, and the one that we are going to be using to fight against him, along with all of our other allies we gather along the way, of course. I do another menu here to power up Adamsum, and also get his ability to use his X art at the start of battle. This will speed up a lot of the fights in this section by quite a bit, just because that art that is on his X button is pretty powerful art. It can do a lot of damage very fast, as you'll be able to see here.
We cannot turn them away.
And here we notice some Antal enemies around this, like, cloud thing. And we want to clear them out so we can get rid of the cloud thing. I can't remember exactly what the cloud thing is called right now. It's like some ether disruption or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But basically the strategy here, we have another new art with Laura now, Spinning Wheel. It's an AoE attack. And it's going to be one of our really good things to do a lot of damage to all enemies on the field at a time. And we'll be using that in quite a few AoE fights with the triple cancel, like I'm going to do here. So 3 more of these Arachno enemies appear. So after using a quick cancel in the Path of Thorns, I'm going to target a different Arachno, triple cancel into Spinning Wheel, and then I'm going to use my Break Art and topple a Jin to finish off this enemy. And then we'll target the last enemy with Jin's level 2 special here, which usually will be enough to kill, but I didn't quite have max affinity. So just a couple more auto attacks is enough to get rid of that. And then from here, we can finally remove this Ether Disruption thing. Ether Miasma, that's what it's called. Haze has the ability to do that for us. And that's going to help let us progress the main story now. I'm trying to think if there's any more, like, important lore to give about this game right now. Basically, we're on a country called Torna, where the next stage of the Aegis War is going to be. And, there's just a lot of preparations for fighting Malos now going on. Alright, so here's everyone's favorite feature, the community. Now, I mentioned earlier that we're going to be doing a lot of side quests, and you might be wondering why the heck are we doing side quests in an 80% speedrun? Well, essentially it's required. So, this game has a feature called the community. And in order to progress at certain points of the game, you have to have a certain level of the community. And the only way to get community is by doing side quests. One thing we can do in the menu, though, is skip the community registration. When you talk to a new NPC, it'll open up the community menu and register them there. And that is a lot of time wasted, so we don't want that at all, obviously. So we're just going to get rid of that. So, in order to beat this game, we need 48 community members. You heard that right, 48. Now, you can get multiple community members from certain side quests, so this is not as bad as it seems. We don't have to do 48 different separate side quests or anything like that. And a lot of the side quests are short and can be done around, like, at the same time. So it's not as bad as it seems, as you can probably tell by the ending time not being that long for an RPG. And one thing that's interesting is that I actually think it makes the run pretty interesting as a speedrun, just because there's a lot of additional routing that you might not see in a lot of RPG speedruns just because of how the community feature works. And since you're basically forced to do a lot of side quests. So, our first side quest here is just, we need to clear out these enemies that are in front of the bridge that a guy wants to cross, because he's scared of them. So, general strategy here is I'm going to use my talent art. I haven't explained talent art yet. Laura's talent art is the ability to store all her arts at the start of battle, or to give her all of her arts off cooldown, give all 3 of her arts without having to auto-attack for half of her HP. So we do that, we triple cancel into Path of Thorns, triple cancel into the AoE move to kill the first Wolf enemy. This will summon this Bulafu enemy. And from there, what we want to do ideally is break and topple it and have Adam and Mithra launch and smash it like they just did, and that can give us the fastest possible fight here. Also use Jin's level 3 so it can make sure it'll die. And from there, we have cleared out the wolf enemies, Volf enemies, and we're gonna be collecting some more fish because we want to make sure we have enough trout and horned sculpin. I think I have all the grimdark crabs I need. I think I got 2 from a collection spot earlier, even though it was the rare collection spot. If you're low on grimdark crabs, this next collection spot right here, this yellow one off to the side, is where you can get much higher odds to get grimdark crabs. Like I said, we need 3 of them before we leave Zarya, which is this first region here. So the second quest involves finding these artifacts known as Barney Stones, which is this blue thing we just walked up to. Apparently they have hidden treasure if you can defeat the enemies surrounding them. I can't remember all of the Barney Stone lore, but apparently this dude named Barney just hid his treasure with very advanced traps. So it starts off with these 3 bat-type enemies that we just try to kill as fast as possible, make sure we're taking advantage of our AoE. And then it summons these flammy enemies, which are these flamingo-type enemies. And these enemies will drop some monster material called Vivant Flammy Wings. We need 2 of these. So make sure that you are actively collecting those and looking for those. And then the final enemy here will be this Caliber Scorepox. This is, the final enemy here. Ideally, Adam will launch fast and smash with Mithra, and that will end that fight. Launch can only be done on toppled enemies, and smash can only be done on launched enemies, I should say. Smash is a big burst of extra damage. Launch keeps enemies in the air for 5 seconds and increases total damage by 50%. Topple increases total damage by 25%, so I should mention that as well. So there's a lot of benefits to breaking in this game. Breaking is basically the key to the entire combat system in this game, and it leads to a lot of really crazy things when we get access to blade combo features later. It's basically the backbone of the system and something that you should absolutely understand how to take advantage of. So I went to that extra flower point there after teleporting back to this location, and we pick up our first community member. Unfortunately, we cannot skip this part. Even though we can skip the registration, we cannot skip the members actually joining our community. So that's going to be a lot of extra time. It's not that bad, but it does take up some extra menuing time along with the quest completion that takes up time. So if those didn't exist, this run could probably be like another 5 to 10 minutes faster, unfortunately, but it does exist. That's what we got to deal with. So we talked to Isabella here, and she's going to join our community now that we've learned about the Barney Stone. And now with our 2 community members, we're going to leave. There is another quest in this area, but we're not going to pick it up. It is not worth it. We're not going to be doing every quest that we see, because sometimes you don't have community members instantly join. Sometimes they're just a huge pain that waste a lot of time over other quest options. This run has most likely routed the most optimal quest patterns here. If there is something faster you can do, I have not discovered it, and I don't think anyone else would have discovered it either. So you'll notice I'm like 50 seconds ahead here. There's a couple reasons for that. One, in my most recent runs, I stopped doing a camp crafting that I normally do that takes about 15 seconds. And 2, I just had really good RNG. So the camp crafting you normally do is you take about 15 seconds to craft an item called the Lightning Speed Flag, which lets you move 5% faster. And while that's nice, you might wonder why the heck I skipped it. It's because we're doing another craft pretty soon here. And I calculate there's only about 4 minutes, a little bit over 4 minutes of walking between this and that next camp. So you save like 2 to 3 seconds by just crafting the Lightning Speed Flag at that camp. Because there's not enough walking for the 5% speed to outweigh the 15 seconds. It's really, really minor, but it makes me feel better about being ahead after Zarya, so, you know. So now we're in Gormott. We have gone to Gormott to search for Laura's mother, because we were worried about her because of the Aegis War, and we also don't know where Malice is going to strike next, so there's no reason not to just come here and just check how things are going. Gormott is where the main source of RNG in this run is. This is where all the collectible RNG is going to be, where you can lose a lot of time if you don't get certain things. And yeah, this is kind of the one of the 2 most annoying parts of the run, I should say. We need to fight that Crabble there to get a Crabble Carapace monster drop. We need that for crafting. And then we've also collected 2 bug collection spots to get sticky stick insects. We need 15 of those total. We only need 10 before we leave right now, and we can get the other 5 later. At these mineral spots, I need to get 3 dicey stone, 2 forest stone, and 1 floral soil. In particular, I need the 3 dicey stone in the first 2 spots if possible, because we're not going to be really able to conveniently run by other mineral spots before the next crafting, which we need it for. Unfortunately, I didn't get it there, so I'll have to go a little bit out of my way to get another mineral spot. It's worth it to do that, though, even though it will cost some time. We also need to get 3 puzzle tree wood from wood collection spots, and I've already fortunately got those. Haze gives us an activation rate to get extra wood potentially, just like Jin does for minerals, but Jin didn't activate on the 2 mineral spots we got earlier, unfortunately, so that's why I didn't get the 3 dicey stone, most likely. So from the wood collection spots, we need 11 puzzle tree wood total. We only need 3 before the first crafting point. We need 10 muscle branch. We need 7 memento bark. And it can also drop deer wood, which we need 4 of, but there's another collection spot that's a lot better for deer wood we'll be getting a little bit later. From the flower spots, we need 4 Ruska flower, 3 sunflower rogue, 3 panda pansy, and 1 dawn hydrangea. And these usually aren't too bad to get, but we do need the 4 Ruska flower before the next camp crafting. The other stuff we can get a little bit after that. So I get a little confused and think the mineral spot's on that other set of rocks that was in front of me there, but it's actually over here, so I lose a little bit more time from just forgetting where the mineral spot is, because I normally don't have to come here. But the good thing about getting this collection spot is we get the floral soil already, and we also have all of the forest stone and dicey stone we need, so we don't have to get any more mineral collection spots. The floral soil is a pain to get. It's one of the most annoying collectibles. It has a really low chance of spawning. As you can see, I'm in pain right there because I didn't get any sticky stick insects. I think I'm at 2 Ruska flower right now. Maybe I already have 3. I don't remember exactly. Alright, so the vegetable collection spots in Gourmand. We need 4 hustle hyacinth and 2 meaty carrots. I think I just got the 2 meaty carrots there already. And we need 4 hustle hyacinths, and we need those before the next crafting point. But there's 4 collection spots before that point. So it's really not a huge deal, and 3 of them are literally right here. In this garden we're about to go across. We've just arrived in Torgoth, the capital of Gourmand, and it's completely destroyed and burned down. Laura's mother was staying here, and we see no signs of anyone here at all, so we don't know what's going on just yet. So as you can see, these are all fruit and vegetable collection spots. I have all my hustle hyacinth from that now. And we get some scale chips out of these chests. These are core chips, which are used to modify our blade weapons and make them more powerful. It increases the auto attack stat, but that's not just auto attacks. It's the total attack stat. I don't know why they call it just auto attack. Just kind of a bad translation, I suppose. So that's kind of like our total attack stat on our blades. How the damage formula works is that a stat is added to the driver, which is the other character that they're teamed with, strength or ether stat, depending on what type of move it is. And that's like the basis of all damage calculations. That'll determine how much damage you deal, along with any multipliers to that damage. So that's how that works. And here we reach the graveyard, and we discover that Laura's mother sadly did not make it, but we have to skip the cutscene, so we can't see that. So there's the better Deerwood collection spot. We also needed to get 2 Confusion Ivy, and unfortunately Haze didn't proc there, so we didn't get everything we needed there. So we'll have to collect it again the next time we're near it, which will be pretty soon. The 2 Confusion Ivy don't have to come, like, necessarily right now, but it is important to have before, like, the middle of the game, so we're going to need it before we leave Gourmand. Deerwood's not until the end of the game, and we actually do come back to Gourmand later, so you don't necessarily need them that early, but it's still nice to get it out of the way. So now we fight Brigid. Brigid mistakenly thinks that we are the ones who did this to the town, and just starts attacking us and says, well, if you're not, then we'll sort it out when the Emperor gets here, which is her driver. Brigid is a blade. So before she enrages, you have like a 100% chance to break her, as long as you don't miss. And we'll take advantage of that to do a lot of damage to her. The ad enemies she has die extremely quickly. You don't even really have to focus on them, they're already dead. We're gonna try to use a move called Flame Bolt here, which is a level 2 blade combo. We just get access to blade combos in this fight, which allows us to use our specials in tandem with each other to do a lot of extra damage. And blade combos, if we combine those with our driver combos, which is the break, topple, launch, smash stuff, we will get a lot of additional damage. And if we kill enemies with these combos, we call them fusion combos when you have both a blade combo and driver combo active, then you also get extra experience. Unfortunately, I was just shy there, so I did not get extra experience for the Bridget kill. But it's not really a huge deal. But one enemy, it's absolutely essential that I get it on, otherwise I basically just have to reset because I'm not going to have enough SP later on for something. So, after that fight, the Emperor comes, we learn his name is Hugo, he sorts everything out, he says, hey, this is actually my friend, the Prince of Torna. And then we get a bit of information about why they're here. They say, well, we heard some rumors about some destructive force in Gormat, so we wanted to come check it out. And then our party offers to help, so we just go and we have our full party now. Hugo has joined us. So Laura and Hayes were originally going to stay back and not go, because after this we were going to head back to like a meeting in a battleship, and they really just didn't want to go to that, but you can tell them to come anyway, and that is unfortunately the faster option, so we have to go against their wishes and just tell them to come with us. Because they are very beneficial to have in combat here. So, the source of the destruction here is just this enraged Ropal enemy. And ideally, we're able to kill him on the first topple there. Adam's talent art allows him to extend a driver combo duration, and that can allow us to kill this enemy really quickly if he does it properly. Sometimes enemies can break or topple themselves, but they're not actually broken or toppled, it's just the type of move they can do. But you can combo off of these and put the enemies in those states after that, like I just did with the launch with Laura there, although he died from that. We did get a fusion combo finish out of that, so we get a little bit of extra experience, but that enemy doesn't give a lot of experience anyway. So when that's done, we're like, okay, this is not Malos, so I guess he's not here right now. And we're going to head back to the battleship that Hugo traveled on and discuss plans and everything like that about what to do about the Aegis. Or about Malos, at least.
Give me a shout next time something happens.
Before we do that, we're going to briefly back up and get this collection spot for extra bugs, because I need some more sticky stick insects. Those are the only bugs we need, by the way. Well, we need one Gregarious Scorpion, but you'll pretty much always get that. Now that Bridge is in our party, we also want to do 20 collectible spots while we're still here in Gormat, because we need to collect stuff 20 times in order to unlock one of her skills that we're going to need for a little bit after this. So that's why it can be beneficial to save some collection spots for when after you get Bridget, if you only need like 1 or 2 things that you feel like pretty confident you'll get. So as we approach the ship, Laura and Hayes just leave us again. They really just don't want to go. And while our other party members are on the ship and Laura's back at the graveyard, we get attacked by Gort. Gort is the thief who originally stole Jin's core crystal, and also like an abusive person in Laura's life from the past. And yeah, it's really a sad situation. I don't want to get too much into it, but basically we're going to be fighting him in like 3 add-ons here with only Laura and Hayes. They don't really do much damage, and Hayes is a healer, so this is really an easy fight more than anything. But Gort gives a very disproportionate amount of SP, so it's really, really important that we get the fusion combo kill on him, which is break with Laura into Hayes' Cyclone, which is a level 2 blade combo ability after Wind there, which you see in the top. So we need the Cyclone to kill, and it does. The joint combo finish you see right there gives us extra SP, extra experience, and we're just going to finish off these last enemies here. They don't have much health, so we can just kill them really quickly with our special with Hayes there. So I'm about 32 seconds ahead at this point. I apologize for it being a little bit hard to see. I'm using like this gradient filter. for my background, and it doesn't make some of the splits show up super well. We go back to this collection spot since we're back at the graveyard, and what we really need is the 2 Confusion Ivy from this. I end up getting it, so we're good to go. Now we're going to head over here to this flower point, because I need to get some more Ruska flower.
Aren't we intrepid?
There's also a fruit point right underneath this if we needed, or veggie point if we needed more Hustle Hyacinth or meaty carrots. That's our last kind of chance before we will be losing time from having to go and get, or skip travel to respawn the spots or anything like that. Here's our last flower spot. The fish spots here, we don't need any specific fish, but we need an assortment of fish for something later on. So we'll just collect some fish spots just to get some stuff for later.
We made it.
Cooley Lake Camp. This is where we do our crafting, finally. We'll finally get the lightning speed flag here, and we do something else. So Jin needs to craft 2 survivalist sandwiches for a quest. He needs to craft 2 more trout shralu, not for anything in particular, but just to get a skill, because cooking 5 times gives him one. Craft the lightning speed flag, and craft a silver seeker. The silver seeker is really important, and that's what saves us a lot of time if we can craft it here. Basically, this allows us to get mechanical parts out of certain collection nodes that we could not get before. And those mechanical parts are pretty vital to quests upcoming and just making things go a little bit faster in general. So this is what I'm talking about. That collection spot right there we can now get because we have that silver seeker we crafted with Hugo. And there's a couple quests that will take that we need this for. In fact, it's a prerequisite for 4 community members having that silver seeker. So that's really important that we pick that up. And if you did not get all the parts before there, you'd have to craft the silver seeker a little bit later, which wastes 2 skip travels as well to do a quest afterwards, which we could do later, and it also has an extra camp, which wastes about 15 seconds. So that's a pretty big time loss, and you don't really want that at all. That's why it's worth going out of the way for the collection spot, like I did for the Dicey Stone earlier. So from that mechanical collection spot, what you're looking for first is 1 Scarlet Coil and 1 Bat Hinge. I got both of those, so I'm not that worried about it. And now I'm going to do a menu to set up Hugo a little bit. Give him some skills to use his topple art at the start of battle based on how I switched the art positions. And level up his art that gives him increased aggro gain. Aggro is the form of, basically determines how enemies target you. And Hugo is our tank, so we want him to have aggro 90% of the time. Bridget is a Braid Blade, so we do the same thing with how we level up her arts there. And we level up Mithra and Jin arts just to make them a bit more powerful. So, we picked up another quest earlier that requires us to fight 3 Ferris enemies, and we need to kill these Espina Ferris enemies. We need to kill 3 of them. There are 2 right in this area, and this is also really efficient because we need to get 10 Ferris Beast Meat for something a little bit later. We need 5 for something and 5 for something else. So, what we're going to do here is do a pretty specific strategy. We're going to use Spinning Wheel from the top platform here. This will AoE the one down below. And then we're going to focus on killing this first enemy here. So one thing about Jin and Lore is that every time they swap, they get increased damage because of one of Jin's skills. And when Jin hits Max Affinity, which is the gold thread, they get a lot of increased damage from that as well. So, we want to try to preserve this as much as we can in some of these fights to make it go faster. We want to also swap to make fights go faster as well. The Espina Ferris being the last enemy remaining makes them use Beast Howl, which will summon these Lakut Ferris, which are other Ferris enemies, which also drop the meat we need. And you want this to happen because while you still have max affinity and everything like that. And when there's one still alive, one Lakut Ferris, when it's low on health, what I do is dequip my weapon. I go up here, I target one of these Grebel enemies, and I throw a rock at it, which is holding R and down on the D-pad. And then I go back to targeting the final Lakut Ferris here and kill it. And since we're still in the same battle, we still keep max affinity, we still keep our transmigration stacks, which is swapping between them and getting more damage. And then I can run all the way over here and aggro these Ferris enemies and fight them. This is a really cool time save I came up with, is because normally you'd have to do the fight separately. And that can waste a lot of time since you start the battle out not at max affinity. and if you had to do it again. But since we start at max affinity, we can kill these enemies quite a bit faster than we would be able to otherwise. And luckily, my beast meat drop's been really good as far as RNG here, because sometimes you won't even get all 10 after killing the 7 Ferris enemies. It's actually a little bit more likely than not that you won't, although the odds aren't too terrible at the very least. And we killed 3 Espina Ferris, which is the exact number we needed to kill for the Dock the Miasma Slayer quest, which appeared on the side there. And we got 10 Ferris beast meat, so we got a lot of efficiency done there for stuff we're going to need later on. So the next thing we do is go talk to Lyda over here. Lyda has collapsed from hunger. This was another quest we picked up earlier. My first adventure where Lyda's going around exploring and we have to keep an eye on her to make sure nothing bad happens to her. And yeah, this is one of the bad things that happened to her. So now we have to feed her. That was what we needed the 2 survivalist sandwiches for. And an interesting caveat about this game is that when you go into like a cutscene type thing like that, it'll automatically collect the collection things out on the field, like it does in combat. So I can just go pick that up, and then I can save a couple seconds by not having to collect them. Here I pause to see how much of certain items I have to make sure I have enough of everything that I need. Technically, it's slow, but it can be really hard to see certain things in this game, especially when you're collecting multiple things at once, and especially when they're layered on top of each other. So it's something I just kind of do just to make sure. And it's a lot better than not having it, because you'll lose way more time from not having it than just from pausing and quickly checking. So that's something I take advantage of in this run, just in the interest of safety a lot of times. So now we're going to head over here to the hidden hunting camp. So basically why we're here is that we learned that a child was lost, and we find them at this camp over here. And this quest here, Seeking a Seeker. So that Silver Seeker we crafted earlier, that's what we needed it for. This guy wants us to find 1 Scarlet Coil and 1 Bat Hinge. So we already have those, so we can just do this and finish this quest right now. If you did not craft the Seeker before now because you didn't have the parts, you would have to craft it here, go back and get the parts, and then come back a little bit later. That is very slow and inefficient, as you can imagine. Not very slow, but it's definitely a lot slower. So definitely make sure you get 3 Dicey Stone and 3 Puzzle Tree Wood. So, after that, we need to find the kid's sister. Apparently she's lost too. So, we're gonna go find her now, and while collecting more things we need along the way. I think the main thing I'm looking for at this point is Muscle Branch. I don't think I got it all before finishing this section, though. But fortunately, we can get a little bit more later in the game, so it's not a huge deal. And I'm still collecting the Sticky Stick insects that I need. Unfortunately, got none there because the game is mean sometimes. Although overall, the Gourmet RNG was decent. Like, it wasn't the greatest, but it definitely wasn't the worst. It could have been either. Like, the Ferris meat alone definitely saved a lot of time. Like, because having to fight more Ferrises just to get the meat can be quite the waste of time. So the sister's over here. And then after this, we're going to be skip traveling and finishing out some quests that we are doing. We're going to be taking the girl along with us, even though she wants us to take her to her brother, because it's faster to do that. She doesn't actually appear, though, so it doesn't really matter, but, you know, it's just funny to think about how we're just, like, dragging her along while we're doing other things. So there's another collection spot coming up. There's another wood spot right here, next to Lyda on the other side there. And just because I'm trying to see what I get, I make sure to collect them before talking to Lyda. And I still need some wood, so I go back and collect it again after that cutscene. And I still don't think I get them all after this, so I have to, I think later on I have to collect it, something again. As you might have seen, Bridget got Botany, or a skill from doing all that, so she hit her 20 collection spots that we need. That skill is going to allow us to get the procs on the veggie spots, and give us a chance of getting many more drops from those types of spots, which we're going to need when we get to the next place. After that, we're going to be finishing the Lyda quest. We need to go find Lyda one more time here. Lyda's been going around Gormott. She's been naming things that are locations in the game 500 years later, which is pretty cool. Like the Lyda Oasis and the Way Tree. The Way Tree is named after her father, Wayton. So they're not actually named that in this game, in Torna, but they'll be named that in the base game years later, which is pretty cool.
Thank you.
And after that, she and her blade will join us after finding her one more time after seeing this view on top of the cliff here. So that quest is now done, and we have 5 community members out of 48.
You can rest easy now.
From there, we're going to head back to the Lakeshore campsite. Since we killed the 3 Ferris enemies, we can talk to Doc and finish that quest. So we're going to be doing that here. I've never been the best masher, honestly, and there's a lot of times you'll have to mash through text as fast as you can in this game. I'm notoriously not that great at mashing. Like, every time I compare my speeds to other players, it always seems like they're faster. But maybe I'm just old. Maybe that's why I'm not great.
You can rest easy now.
Fortunately, a lot of the text in this game doesn't move that fast anyway, so it's not the biggest deal. I'm not losing a massive amount of time or anything. But there's not that much text, but I've just been mashing is my main weakness when it comes to speedrunning stuff here. So now we head back. We can finish up that quest and reunite the brother and sister, and they're both safe now in this location. So that's cool. Now we're gonna go talk to Dudon over here. So this is another reason we needed the Seeker, the Silver Seeker with Hugo. Dudon needs us to get apple lamps and alloy sheeting from the mechanical things. We already had those as well from the mechanical part collection thing, so we talked to him again. He uses those to create something to go and fish for a treasure chest, and he pulls up this urchin enemy that we have to fight. Urchin enemies are really annoying. They have really annoying block rates that'll block your attacks a lot. You can't actually break them yourself. It'll use an attack called Bouncing Hammer that breaks itself, though, and I can topple off of that, thankfully. So that's what I do here. And we use this to launch and smash. Adam does that for us, thankfully. The AI in this game is weird. Sometimes they do what you want them to do. They do kind of act consistently, but sometimes they'll just be trolls. And I don't know how to describe this. Sometimes Adam extends the duration, sometimes he'll launch instantly. If he doesn't have launch up, he'll definitely go for the extend, I think, a decent amount of the time. If they're launched, he'll always swap in Mither to smash. There's a lot of interesting things about the AI in this game. Laura likes using her talent art as an AI a lot if the enemy's not broken. So that's something that you might need to be a little more concerned about if you're not controlling Laura, so she doesn't end up killing herself. After collecting the treasure chest, we talk to Nopon again, get him out in the community. And then we talk to Bothane here. Bothane wants to test his skills against the Aegis, so he offers to fight us here. Now, normally, he's like a sniper, and he has this auto attack that'll almost one-shot you at the start, but it actually missed here, which is kind of ironic. But it doesn't quite one-shot you, and then after that, Hugo just takes aggro, so you can use Laura's talent art and only lose 90 health. And from there, you topple with Jin, and then go ham on him. And yeah, not really a terrible fight. It can go a bit faster if your AI is a little bit better, but it's definitely not the worst fight out there, though. This one was kind of on the slower end just because I didn't get good luck with launches, smashes, or the fusion combos. Another thing to explain about fusion combos is if you use a blade combo on top of a driver combo, you will get extra damage for the duration of that driver combo. That's something we'll be taking advantage of a lot a bit later, but not necessarily too much right now. I'll explain it in a bit more detail when we get to the points where it really matters, so no worries. After fighting Bothane, he's impressed with us and joins our community. And once we have all 8 community members from the quest we did here, we are free to continue and leave Gormott. Now, I'm going to be losing some time here, just because it wasn't the greatest Gormott split as far as all the RNG, but I did have some pretty good things happen. Some of the fights could have been better, but overall, it wasn't that bad. So Gormat will end officially on the cutscene after this when we talk to the dude running the airship that lets us leave. My gold here is almost a minute fast. Maybe it is a minute faster than what I actually end up getting, but that requires some really insane luck, so it's not something that you can really count on. Like, for what it is, a 45-24 Gourmand's not bad at all. Like, can definitely be a lot worse. Like, depending on how your collection RNG is, you can lose a lot of time. Depending on how Ferris RNG is, you can lose a lot of time. Just stuff like that you have to be concerned with. So now we are in our next region, Aletta. This is like Adam's home, essentially. It's like a military base, and his house is here as well. We're back on the Tornan continent, the main continent that the game takes place on. And this is just a different region of Torna. Which is not... Zarya was the first region we were in earlier, the very beginning of the game, like the tutorial area. And now we are in Aletta.
We never turn a blind eye to people.
Upon getting here, we learned that the army is a little understocked. So we're gonna go get some food for everyone and make sure that we have plenty of food supply. This is a main story quest, doesn't contribute to any community, but, you know. What we needed for this, we needed those 3 Grimdark Crab for this quest. We needed the 5 Ferris Beast Meat for this quest. And we need 2 other things. Now, one of the things we need is 7 Weeping Flower. Weeping Flower is stuff we got from flower spots earlier, along with the lilies of the Sunny Valley that we needed. So we've actually got, like, all of those already, just because they're really common, but you can't get some more here in this area otherwise. And we also need 3 Lacto Nut, which is from the veggie spots, and that's also why we wanted to get Bridget's botany. So I'm going to run to the general veggie spots we always go to here. We also need 5 tawny carrot from these spots for something a bit later. And I'll be keeping track of those as well while I'm getting the Lacto Nuts. I already got all 3 Lacto Nuts from that spot, pretty lucky. Because it tells us what to do next, which is just, we already got the stuff, so we can head back. But I'm not going to do that just yet, because I want to pick up a skip travel location for later, as well as get some more veggies just in general for later stuff. So we're going to be collecting these other few spots here, and then we're going to drop down this cliff to get the Turkin Cliff Colony skip travel location.
Here we are.
And now we'll skip travel back.
Who's in?
It was a nice change of pace.
All right. Remind me why we're here.
So head back, talk to Broggen, and that will finish out this quest here. And now we are free to do the next thing. So what we learn after this is that the bridge to the next area we want to go to is out because of some Gogol enemies, which are basically gorilla-type enemies. So we need to go deal with them near the bridge area, and then restore the bridge after that, or let other people restore the bridge after we deal with them. And while we're here, what we want to do is talk to Mungo, get this quest from him, the Malcontent Doctor. He wants us to collect some stuff.
I said I'd do it, so consider it done.
And then we're going to go to the camp. The camp will allow us to cash in bonus experience, which is stuff we get for the experience we get from going to locations and finishing quests. And we're going to level up as to the maximum that we can here. Laura will hit 23, Adam will hit 22, and Hugo will hit 21.
I shall defend my emperor against all assailants.
This is important for the upcoming fights because there is a little bit of a level penalty in this game where enemies will do more damage to you based on how much higher level they are than you. I think it starts at 3 or 4 levels higher, just with a little bit of extra damage. And then it gradually gets more and more the higher they are over you.
Remind me why we're here again?
And we want to limit that as much as possible. So Mungo needs us to collect penicillin for him, which is
Aren't we in trouble?
key item collection spots that only appear during this quest, or they actually appear after the quest as well. If I don't remember exactly what they're used for after the quest, but basically we have to go to these 3 locations to collect those, which is fine because we already have the Turkin Cliff Colony, and we also want to get this treasure chest because it has Machine Hunter Ox Core in it, which is increased damage to machines by like 25%, I believe, which is going to be useful later on. From there we go back, teleport back to the start of the Cliff Colony, and we're going to go the opposite way. We're gonna run by this vegetable spot.
Aren't we intrepid?
And then I'm gonna be doing a menu after this. So I get some tawny carrot. I think I have all the tawny carrot I need after that, maybe. So gonna level up Laura's strength here to unlock the next round of the affinity chart, and I'm gonna be getting the most important skill that you can get on anyone's chart, Arch Chain, essentially. It's called Quickfire Combo on Laura's tree. So this allows us to cancel arts into other arts, and this is what really speeds up the combat system. Adam is 5 SP short because I didn't get that fusion combo kill on Bridget earlier, which is unfortunate, but since we're not directly controlling him, it doesn't really matter too much for this upcoming fight, and we can get it right after this anyway. Hugo and Aegeon, which was one of his blades, are not with us right now. It's just Bridget. This is likely done for story purposes because we saw a flashback of a scene of this part in the base game, and Hugo was not there at all, so they had to come up with an excuse to get rid of him. We're also fighting this Somalia nest right here, because it drops something called a nest extract, and we need 5 of those for something later. So we'll be collecting those and fighting the nest enemies as we can. I swapped to Jin here just to get my health back, the red health, because I don't want to die as I'm walking to these goal enemies, which has happened a couple times before. This will reset our health and also put us into a cutscene where we finally fight the Googles here. So generally here I want to charge up all my arts with Laura. They do a lot of damage, so I'm not going to use Swallow's Flight here to get all my arts at the start of battle. I'll just auto-attack to get them. Ideally I want to break one of them, so once I don't have aggro, I'll just be spamming Hungry Snake until I get the break there, like I did the second time there. And that'll give us health back with the potions, and also give us a lot of extra damage just with our combos. So from here, I'm going to just do a bunch of damage with Jin with our extra damage at max affinity and all that. Swap to Laura, get some more transmigration stack damage here. And just try to finish him off here. After that, there's one Gogol left. I will use Swallow's Flight here to try to break it. It gets resisted, unfortunately. I go for it again, though. And we get that break. Topple comes out. And I use Jin's Ice 2 here on the Topple with all the extra damage he has, and it'll do a lot of extra damage here. And Ice 2 also does some damage over time, so we can quickly end the fight after that.
Have you ever considered writing a diary?
I've thought
I save about 14 seconds there, not too much, but still an okay amount, thankfully. The next fight is one of the worst in the game. I kind of just go ham on it now with trying to break it at all times just because of how the fight is. It's a little risky, but at the same time, you don't want to just be waiting to die and just praying that something doesn't happen that can happen. It's better to at least try to have some control in it, so that's why I kind of just try to break it and keep it toppled at all times. But this can definitely be a run-ending fight if you're trying to get world record. There is a much safer strategy in the second phase of the fight that you can do, but it costs a lot of time, so it's not really worth doing. But if you're just trying to complete a run, it's definitely something to consider if you're not like experienced with the game or anything like that. I get the final tawny carrot I need. I guess I didn't have all of them earlier, so I get that spot. I go back to this nest over here, and we're gonna be getting some more nest extract from that, hopefully. We need 5. I think I already have 2 because I was pretty lucky with the drops. Every enemy can drop up to 2 of the items that are 2 of the monster materials that they can drop. So I have 4 now, which is basically perfect RNG for that. And I just need 1 from like another one here, which is the fastest you can do it. If you don't get all of them in 3, it's not a huge deal. There's other nests in the area you can fight up here.
Here we are.
And you can keep transmigration and max affinity between them. So it's not the biggest deal, but it is nice regardless. I did get a colorful feather from that, so I'm going to quickly place that on Hugo, even though I normally don't, since we normally don't get one. Just because it's there, and it's slightly helpful as far as making him take aggro at the very start of every fight, and him keeping aggro. So, since I have it, I might as well just put it on him for the next fight. So at this point, you'll see my lighting change because it was Easter and my mother came in our room to give me something, which is really funny. I actually did lose a little bit of time in the first phase of the fight coming up just because I was distracted a little bit. But I hit the final nest extract I need. And we head off to the fight here against the Jagron. Now this enemy, the main reason this fight sucks, he has an attack called Rolling Claw, which can nearly or basically one-shot you if you're not Hugo. But Hugo will sometimes take just enough damage to get one-shot anyway, especially in the second phase of the fight, where he'll like use it at the very beginning of, or like near the beginning of the fight. So because I was distracted, I end up using the wrong blade combo here, Stone with Hugo, which means I'm gonna have to do this fight phase a little bit slower than I would or otherwise. And I also get almost destroyed by him using Rolling Claw in this phase, which is why it's really dangerous. Fortunately, Jin and Laura do not die, so that's really helpful in like doing a lot of damage because they are by far the strongest characters I have. This Rolling Claw one-shots both of them. They had like half health, but still, it's really annoying. You can see how this fight can be one of the scariest in the game if you can't keep him topple locked. Fortunately, Jin's still alive and he can't use Rolling Claw again for a while, so I just go in with Ice 3 here, which is the end of a blade combo, and try to do as much damage as I can there. I use Mithra's level 1 here. The phase 1 will end as soon as we get him to half health. So, that's over. Phase 2 is the really scary phase, because you can use Rolling Claw a lot faster, he's enraged, so he'll have more strength, and hit harder. But, the thing about phase 2 is that they automatically place 3 orbs on the enemy. What are orbs? Well, this is where we unlock chain attacks, finally. Don't want to get into too long of an explanation here, but essentially, if you chain attack an enemy, they can't do anything while you're chain attacking them, and you can do a lot of damage by just unloading a bunch of specials on them. And if you break an orb during a round of a chain attack, you can use another round of a chain attack. A round consists of a special from each of your party members. It'll make more sense when we actually use one a little bit later. We're not going to use one in this fight. In this fight, I'm going to use Ultimate Aurora with Jin. This is the strongest blade combo in the game, which is electric into fire into ice. And fortunately, our party lines up with it really perfectly here. And I take advantage of a stacked fusion combo like I talked about earlier. So, the Flame Bolt goes off on that topple, and then I use Ultimate Aurora on the same topple, so Ultimate Aurora gets a big damage increase. And we get a huge chunk of damage. I did not get the fusion combo finished because once again, I'm slightly unlucky and it left him with a sliver of health, but still a really solid fight. That fight's really scary. Really was happy to get past it without too many issues. 57:32 is actually a really great time for getting past that. Like, was very, very happy with that. So you might be wondering how I got this 2:28 time if my PB is 2:34 and I'm only 44 seconds ahead right now. Well, there's a lot of interesting time saved near the end of the run, so we'll talk about that a little bit when we get there. But I won't appear that far ahead really early on, though. The next couple of splits do have some time save in them that I'll be able to take advantage of, because I had to collect some stuff and do some extra things in these splits in the one I'm running against. So, essentially, this next part, we go and think about what we need to do next now that we can cross the bridge and head to the next area. And we have to cross a desert now. And this desert can make people sick, so we want to craft this desert medicine, and we need 5 of them. To craft these, you need a nest extract and a tawny carrot. I don't know why you need the carrot, but, you know, whatever. So we needed 5 of each of those to craft all 5 of these in order to progress the game. We also talked to Mungo again to finish out the quest we got from her earlier for the Penicillin, and that'll add him to our community. We now have 9 community members. How are we going to get the remaining 39 with only an hour and a half left? Who knows?
How about next time you help yourselves?
Mithra's a really nice person. After we get our medicine, we'll teleport back to the bridge and progress on our merry way to the next area. Across the desert is the capital of Torna, Oresco, and that's our ultimate goal, essentially, as far as where we need to go. And before that, right before the desert, is a little town called Hypervillage. which we'll be stopping at here. There's not too much to do here right now, but there is a couple things we're going to need to do while we're here. Collection spot-wise especially, and we're actually going to be buying stuff. The only time we buy stuff the entire game. So we need to talk to all of these red exclamation mark people. And we need to go to the Hyper Peddler here and buy 3 Gear Vest, 1 Mechanized Greave, and 1 Iron Headband. The Gear Vest increases max HP by 20%. This is really useful to make sure that we can survive a little bit later on in certain fights. The Mechanized Greave increases damage to toppled enemies 50%, and the Iron Headband increases critical damage by like 20%. All 3 of these things are, those 2 things especially are pretty valuable as damage increases. And we're going to want to be taking advantage of that in a couple fights, especially a little bit later on, some of the scariest fights that we want to just deal with as quickly as possible. And we also want to grab that mechanical part spot while we're here as well. And then we're going to head this way, because we need some stuff over here. For one, we need this flower spot. We need a 1 Bladed Holly and 2 Shepherd's Coronet. We only got 1 Shepherd's Coronet there, but later spots can drop that, thankfully. We want to grab that treasure chest for the 2 Hunters Chemistry inside of it. And we want to grab this one for the Element Orb Prioritizer. These are both extremely important for fights later on. And we will definitely be taking advantage of them. And with that done, we're going to be heading to the desert.
This is new.
So while we're here, we're going to talk to Chanel near this camp. She has a quest that we want to pick up. She came out here searching for treasure, but I think she went to the wrong spot, and now she wants us to go search. So we're going to go do that right now. The chest is right up this way. In the top, you can see the blue marker. The number constantly going down as we get closer to it. That's kind of how you keep track of objectives in this game. The red is main story, blue is quest that you have currently set to active.
Now I'm really curious.
So here's our buried treasure chest. It doesn't really have anything useful in it, but you know, it's for the quest. Now we need to collect the flower spot. We need to get 3 more Lily of the Sunny Valley here. It could be less if we got extra earlier in the game, but we did not. I think I also need like a couple more Weeping Flower potentially, and we also need that Shepherd's Coronet. So those are the things we're looking for here.
Well, here we are.
I think we're also looking for 2 Angel Sage, because I don't know if I got those yet either. But we should be able to get all that stuff without too many issues. Palva. This is what we needed the sour avocados for. 3 were used for crafting, and then 10 here lets us just give her items with water in it so she can survive. The other 3 do not give as much water content, so that's why the avocados are pretty important. You can use them, but typically they are like an option only if you didn't get enough avocados, and you have to be very careful about that. Just make sure you have enough stuff, essentially. But for some reason, from doing that, we lose a community member. Because apparently saving someone's life is not good enough to get community. But basically what we learn is that that girl that we saw out there, Palva, is... I don't remember exactly, but she's teamed up with the dude we met earlier, who was the salvager.
Oh, here's something.
And essentially... they got into like some kind of argument about their machine not working properly for searching for treasure or gold or whatever. And I don't know, I guess he was upset, so he's no longer part of the community temporarily.
Anything good here?
It's one of only 2 times that happens in this run, although we get both community members back. I don't know why, it's kind of silly, but you know, happens. So on the way, we need to collect 2 more fish spot for the assortment of fish that we need for later. And we need to get that other mechanical part on the way as well. And now we need to get the wood spot here for 2 curious rotting leaves. This is the first place we can actually get them. And it's one of the last things we're going to need in this game. As far as stuff that we haven't had access to yet. I think it is the very last thing that we haven't at least had some access to. And I'm going to collect this last flower spot here to get the last thing I need. I can't remember exactly what it is here. I think it was probably another lily. So we get that, and we're good to go. Now we are going to be in Oresco. That's where I'm going to split after the next cutscene. This is the capital of Torna. Our final... Well, not the final, but... the last area we're going to see for a long time. The last new area, at least. Making it here only an hour into the run is not too bad when you really think about it, but... this game's definitely not as big as the base game as far as locations and all of the exploration and all that, but it's still really good for like essentially an add-on prequel DLC thing. Although it does exist as its own physical cartridge too, which is pretty impressive. So we used Gideon to fix the machine that the two people earlier, Palva and the Napon, were using. And Gideon also has another quest for us. So we're going to talk to him. He just wants an assortment of mechanical parts. That's why we collected a lot of those mechanical parts earlier. And this will give us another community members that relied on getting the Seeker with Hugo. Same with both Palva and that Napon, because we have to do the prerequisite quest with the Napon in order to get access to it. So those are the 4 community members. This guy, those 2, and the original Seeker quest guy. So now that we've turned in these parts, we no longer need any mechanical parts the rest of the game. We just needed it for that stuff.
You didn't have to.
And Gideon joins our community because he's very thankful for us giving him stuff and letting him invent some stuff. And from here, we're going to head to the palace and progress the story before doing some other stuff. We're not going to pick up that quest to the side over there. It's not very beneficial, so I'm not going to worry about that one.
What a nice spot.
Nice one.
So the palace is just up ahead here. And once we get here, we'll be talking to the Tornan King, who is Adam's father. The Tornan King also has a brother who hates Adam because all the people favor Adam to be like the next leader of Torna instead of him. And he's kind of petty. So we talk about what to do about the Aegis and how we think he's planning to attack Torna next. And talk about what to do after that. And in the meantime, before anything else happens, we need to get hit community level 2. Community level 2 was 16 community members. And we cannot progress the story until we do this. So... we already see the fun part of the community and why everyone loves it so much. So we teleport to the inn after that and pick up a quest here, a quest next to the inn, and we pick up another quest over here. Quest next to the inn is about finding some Armu, and this quest is about a dude who's trying to sell some hats, and for some reason, no one's showing up and buying his stuff, so we offer to help them both out. After that, we teleport to the main gate, and this guy wants us to light up some lanterns. He tells us, you see this lantern that's out over there? Doesn't that bother you? And we're like, yeah. So we go light it up, and then we go talk to him again. He's like, I saw it. Apparently he couldn't move from his post, even though it's like 2 feet, but you know, that's how it is. And then he tells us there's actually more lanterns around town that are not lit, so we gotta go light those now to help him out. Joey tells us where the Armu may have ran off to. And we're gonna help Joey find the Armu. Deku is some business advisor essentially, and we tell him about the shop, and he agrees to help out. And from there, we're gonna walk over here to the back gate. It has a lantern we need to light, and also a skip travel location we need to pick up for later, a landmark. From there, we're gonna head back to the inn and finish out the quest. This is the Napon Hat quest, as you could call it. One of the funniest quests in the game. And essentially Deku is not surprised that OBB is not selling anything because OBB is not wearing any clothes, and why are you running a clothing store if you're not going to wear clothes yourself? And so we talk about hats after that, after a humorous moment, and we have 2 options for these. We have to craft both of them to progress the quest. And then we get to pick between them as far as which one we like better. Whichever one you pick, Deku will be wearing that hat the rest of the game and on the community menu. I guess if this is a... I don't know, it could be like some donation goal if this ever got into a marathon. The knit hat and the other cap. It's a pretty funny quest. And both of them join our community after that quest is over. I believe we are at we're at 12 community members right now, I believe. From there we head back to the main gate. And we've unlocked level 3 affinity on everyone, and we've also unlocked some skills. So we're going to be checking the charts here so we can do the next couple of quests. Finally check a Geon's chart for the first time. We check everyone's chart here except for Minoth. We don't check Minoth's for now because he's not really important at the current moment in time.
Looks like you're getting the hang of it.
But everyone else you probably want to check. We needed Keen Eye on Hayes' chart in order to progress this quest as well, so that's also why we checked there. And from there, we're able to follow the Armu. Now we're going to teleport back to the beginning of the Denied Desert for a couple things. First of all, we need to finish that quest where we found the hidden treasure that Chanel gave us, so we're going to tell her about it. And she's happy that we found it, and she's going to join our community now. Okay, this is 12, actually. We were only at 11 before. And then we're going to go to the camp. And we need to do some crafting here, and we need to level up again. This is the camp where we needed a certain amount, some of the items by. We're going to craft a Far-Sighted Talisman with Haze. This is important to put on a Geon for a skill. A field skill that we need for certain quests. Mithra we need to craft 5 things with, and 2 of those need to be this dessert here. But overall, you just need 5 of those total. And then we need to craft 5 of these books, Beyond Endless Dunes, with Minoth, which we needed the Sticky Stick Insects for. We have 3 left over, so we still need 2 more to get the 5 for a little bit later, but we'll go back to Gormott later and get those. I'm going to level everyone to 32. Laura could hit 33, but I'm keeping her at 32 for a very specific reason. Jen's level 3 special does extra damage to higher leveled enemies, and being level 32 means we have most likely the enemies we're about to face are going to be higher level, and we want to be able to kill them as fast as possible because they are really dangerous enemies. It's the start of the gauntlet of the scariest part of the run, most likely. We also do a menu there where we're putting accessories on our characters, the stuff we got earlier from the shop. Farsighted Talisman goes on Hugo, as I said. We put this whole Lupa on a bun on Laura, and then Beyond Endless Dunes. The Endless Dunes is just a really good pouch item in general. So that's what we really wanted there. And we also needed Minoth to craft 5 times for a skill of his own as well, I believe. So we put 2 dessert on Mithra, so she can get a field skill of her own there. And then put the Beyond Endless Dunes on them after that. That's why we needed to craft the 2 desserts. But we also needed to craft 5 times total. Just simply for the, it's for a Jin skill, actually. Mithra's cooking is apparently so bad that you gain Fortitude, a skill on Jin's chart, for cooking with Mithra 5 times. So, yeah. And using 2 dessert on Adam will give Mithra her skill. Pretty interesting. So from there we teleport to the Great Break Sand, and if we walk backwards we find with the first Armu, who's being surrounded by enemies, and the enemies will try to fight us, but it's actually faster to just run away from them and then go talk to the Armu afterwards. Because for some reason the enemies don't spawn out fast enough to spawn back in and fight us again, so you can just go talk to the Armu, and it just assumes you killed them, I guess. So you're done with that, and then from there you can immediately go to Palva with the machine. I swapped to Hugo for that section because he has the most health, and he's the safest option. The Turkin can kill you if you're really unlucky there. So we use the machine and get the most minor amount of gold ever, but apparently since it works, they're happy, and they both join the community, and we're up to 14 now. I don't know why the Napon had to leave us, but you know, happens, I guess. So we still need to find 2 more Armu to finish that other quest out, where we're searching for the Armu in the desert. And there's another thing we also need to do here. So we're going to handle both of those things. Teleport back to the Great Break Sand. I'm going to swap to Adam here because we're going to need it. We're going to be actually controlling Adam in the next series of fights. And we also need to head over to this area from the Great Break Sand. And with our new field skills, we'll be able to open up this section. We have level 2 Swift Swordplay and Fortitude with Jin, so he can slash through this. And from there, we're going to climb this section. This will unlock a secret area called the Turcos Plateau. It's very beautiful, but it's faster to drop down after getting it, because we don't actually need to be there now, so unfortunately we can't look at it yet. But we want it for a skip travel location later. And the armor is right underneath that area we were just at, so we go and pick that up right then. From there, we teleport to the Outrider Forest Trail, and if we head to the left and just go jump down a little bit here, we'll find the last Armu. And now we're going to teleport back to the main gate. From here, we can just go talk to Joey again, and we'll finish out the quest and hit community level 2, which is 16 community members, because we'll have 2 people join us here.
Where shall we head to next?
And now the scariest part of the game.
Thank you. Thank you.
We got a community level up there. We're about nearly 2 minutes ahead. Really, really nice. Because I was already doing, like, the run I'm running against was already a run that was kind of ahead of world record at this point. And especially after the next split, so... Being 2 minutes ahead of that is really solid. I don't have any golds so far or anything, but I mean, it's been a pretty good run. And we'll get some golds a little later. So, after getting community level 2 and approaching the palace, Malos actually attacks the capital. His gargoyles are now all over the place and everything is in chaos. And we're going to try to clear out these gargoyles and help everyone out. But before that, we need to do a pretty big menu here to get some important skills and get some important upgrades on our blades as well. One thing we get here is Laura being able to use B at the start of battle, which is their break art, which is really important since we're not controlling her. And can be very, very important in the next fight, or the next 3 fights at least. We have motor chips. We're going to put these on Mithra and Jin. It's unfortunately a pretty low crit rate chip, but the extra auto attack is pretty useful. From here, we're going to put Hunter's Chemistry on Hayes and Minoth. Hunter's Chemistry will increase our affinity at the start of battle, and it can be on anyone. And we put the Orb Prioritizer on Brigid. That's going to come into play when we use a chain attack a little bit, a couple chain attacks later in the game, but I'll explain a bit more when we get there. But basically, it allows Brigid to always target damaged orbs, which means we'll always be able to get extra rounds and chain attacks no matter what. So that's really important. We also check Minoth's chart finally, so he can get his level 2 skill there. That we'll need a little bit later. So the ideal strategy here is Hugo topples after a break, and then we extend the topple with Adam, use his level 1, use Brigid's level 2, and then use Jin's level 3. Unfortunately, I don't quite get it here, but I think Hugo missed topple or something. I'm not quite sure what happened, but there is a decently okay backup here where you can use Mithra's level 4 to end a combo, and it'll do a lot of additional damage if the gargoyle is enraged. These enemies are weak to light, and when they enrage, they become even weaker to light. So, since Mithra has light element, that can do a lot of damage. So I end up using Ice 2 here with Jin, just for the, since Jin's our most powerful character, extra damage and all that. And now that he's enraged, I will use Mithra's level 4 special, the light level 3 blade combo finisher. And that'll do a pretty big chunk of damage. Not a ton, but it's enough, really, to finish the fight. After the blade combo damage finally comes through there. So we didn't get the optimal strategy fight there, but not a big deal because it was still a pretty fast fight overall. And then we teleport to the inn because it's closer to our next fight, which is another one of these gargoyles. And here I actually get the strategy I want, I believe, and I think I do for the next one as well, which is really nice. One thing that's important to note, please, you need to engage the enemies from outside their detection range so you get the Hunter's chemistry bonuses, and this will increase your odds of break dramatically. So I'm able to extend the topple here, use Adam's level 1 after extending it. Then I'm going to extend it again. Bridget will swap in at this point for Flame Bolt. And then Laura will swap to Jin for Ultimate Aurora. And with the Mechanized Greaves on him for the extra damage to toppled enemies and the extra damage to higher leveled enemies, if it is higher leveled, this is basically guaranteed to finish the fight here. So, pretty simple. It's not going to always go that way. These fights can actually be very scary if you don't get good driver combo luck, and you don't have Mithr's level 4 ready to like block a dangerous attack if you need to. They can do a lot of damage and can potentially one-shot you. That's one of the reasons the gear vests are used on everyone except for Laura here. It was used on Laura before I changed it for Mechanized Greaves, just for, because, you know, I just play risky. I'm just like that. I don't know why. We get another break here. It's been really good break luck in these fights, thankfully. So we're able to finish this fight just as fast. I was very happy with this. So Bridget's going to use Flame Bolt here. And I'm going to extend one more time. Jen will come in for the Ultimate Aurora. And we're going to finish this fight out as well. If for some reason you don't quite kill the gargoyles, you can instantly swap to Mithra while the topple's still active and kill pretty fast by using an art or two. But the Mechanized Graves are still helpful for the fight after the next one. That's going to be the end of that split. If you're wondering why it's called Saga 1 PTSD, it's there's an enemy in Saga 1 called Gargoyle, or a boss enemy, that's like the worst RNG fight ever, so that's why those are titled that when we fight a gargoyle enemy. And after dealing with the gargoyles, we're finally able to confront Malos, who gives a speech about why he's attacking and everything like that. You know how villain speeches are typically. So this fight is where we're going to be using chain attacking. So, every time you use a special of a different element as part of a blade combo, it will set an orb up. It'll set an orb of that element, specifically. So, basically we're going to be rushing 5 different orbs here. So we're going to use 5 different special elements. We start with Volt, into Fire, into Ice here to get 3 orbs. And then we're going to be using Haze's Wind and Minoth's Dark. And then we're going to be instantly chain attacking after that. And the reason is Malos is really scary, and we do not want him to be doing much. He has really, really scary moves that can really destroy us, and it's really dangerous. So, essentially we want to get enough orbs to make sure we can kill him. And so here's how it works. When you attack an orb with an opposite element, it'll do 2 points of damage out of 3 to that orb. Normal attacks, if you don't have an opposite orb to hit, will only do 1 point of damage. Orb Prioritizer, the skill we put on Bridget, will always target weakened orbs. So it basically guarantees that we get a burst on that orb, and if we get a burst on an orb, it will allow us to continue and do another round of a chain attack as long as we get a burst during that round. So Bridget having Orb Prioritizer is really important, because otherwise she could target one of the undamaged orbs and just end our chain attack on the spot, because we didn't get any bursts. Getting 2 bursts in the same round will fill our meter at the top left more, and once we fill the meter out fully, we get access to, we will be able to use a full burst. We need 5 orbs to be able to do a full burst, so that is why we set up 5 specifically here. And the person who breaks the final orb to get the full burst will be able to be like the most important character. Basically, everyone on a full burst will use one of their arts, and then the person who breaks the orb will use their level 4 special, the person after that person will use their level 3 special, and the other party member will use their level 2 special. Mithra gets the full burst here, and since Malos is weak to light, this is one of the 2 best options. Jin can also be a pretty good option, since Mithra would still use her level 3, but overall it's pretty good. The full burst does a lot of extra damage, it increases our damage ratio pretty highly, as you can see on the left of the screen. And chain attack. If you overkills in a chain attack, that bonus percentage you saw determines how much the EXP and SP and all that is multiplied by from the fight. Chain attack overkills are one of the main ways we get experience in the base game speedrun, but we don't actually use many chain attacks here. It's just this one and one other one the entire game, but it's really important to chain attack this fight, because otherwise it would be really, really difficult. Then after that, Malos leaves us with a little gift of 2 gargoyles. These gargoyles are technically counted as like separate enemies than the previous ones that do a little bit less damage and so on. We control Laura and Jin in this fight because it's immediately after the other fight. And basically I treat this kind of like the Jagron fight, where I just try to keep them topple locked more than anything. So, especially because Jin does extra damage to the toppled enemies now, so that's kind of something we definitely want to be taking advantage of. So after the smash, I just use Mithra's level 3 special here. The ice is still active, doing damage over time. The photon will definitely kill here. So that gargoyle is dead already. And here I'm going to try to break and just do kind of the same thing again. I would spam my talent art if I did not break there. And I'm going to be using it again anyway here because of the topple and launch, because like I said, I want to keep everyone combo locked essentially. As long as Hugo keeps aggro, it's not really a big deal. If you somehow get aggro when you're low on health, it can be really risky, but I like playing risky when I'm going for world records, so you know how it is. This topple combo, the Ultimate Aurora here, is going to finish off this gargoyle, and that's going to end that split with a gold. That was really fast to do both of those. Not a huge gold, but still a gold nonetheless. Our first of the entire speedrun. So, very, very happy with that. And now, after that, we enter the calm period. The calm before the storm, you could say. Now, we need to get community level 4 before we can progress the rest of the story. So, we need to get 32 more community members before we can do the rest of the story. So, we're going to be doing a lot of side quests. This is the side quest section of the game, essentially. It's a pretty chill section. There's not really much pressure and stress in this point. Although sometimes you might get a little, like, zone out a little bit, like I can sometimes because ADHD, and maybe lose a couple seconds here and there because you're like, wait, what do I do next? But, you know, if you're paying attention, really focused, then you usually won't lose or gain too much time here at all. It's pretty consistent splits, unless one of the 2 or 3 fights you lose some time on, or just you have to collect some extra collection spots you might not have had to the previous run and stuff like that. Before we start with our side quest chain, there's a couple main story objectives, though, like going to the palace, talking about the attack that just happened on the capital, and what to do next. We get to talk to our friend Azurta, which is a big dragon-like thing. A titan, actually, is what he's officially called. And he tells us a bit more about Torna and Malos and all that, I believe. And then we go rest at the inn, discuss some more things, and then we talk about how we're going to help the community out before confronting Malos and all that. So now we start our side quest grind. So this section we try to optimize as much as possible by taking on as many quests as possible in the order we can do them and trying to do as many things in the most convenient and quickest manner possible. We pick up our first quest there from Geo. That quest is a storyline, is basically we need to create something for his friend to give a gift to a girl because he wants to get her to fall in love with him. After that, we walk down here and fix one of the lamps that we need to from that other quest we picked up before the Malos fight. And that quest is a storyline about how we need to go search for that girl's teacher. Apparently that teacher lived in Torgoth, so we kind of know what might have happened. But we're going to go take a look and check everything out anyway. Then we teleport to the palace to pick up another quest from Niddle. Niddle's a dude who watched over Adam when he was young, one of the king's, like, men and all that kind of stuff. And he wants us to clear out rubble around the capital. And then we go teleport to the median gate here and talk to Opha. Opha wants us to pick up some litter from the, Outrider Forest Trail immediately in front of the capital, because apparently there's a lot of trash out there. So from there, we're going to head to that and go pick up some trash. When I'm streaming, this is a pretty funny section of the run, because you always joke about what the trash actually is. Like, you know, maybe one of the games that are notoriously not considered very good. Maybe some anime that no one likes, that kind of stuff. And after I pick it all up, we talk, and apparently there's even more litter that wasn't there before, and we don't know what's going on. So we go pick this litter up now. We're good citizens here, picking up trash. Alright, and after that, we're able to catch this group of 4 Nopon and they act some children that are being devious for the sake of being devious, apparently. And then they go run around and spread out in the capital, and we have to go find them. But we're not going to do that right now. We're going to head and work on some other stuff. We head to Aletta Harbor,
We're here.
and we're going to pick up another quest here from Irith, or Urith, I don't know how to pronounce it. Duplicity. Basically,
I hope
this guy is looking for his friend or soldier, Mekneth. We don't know, he doesn't know where Mekneth went or where he is, and he wants us to go search for him. Hedwyn here. Hedwyn here is curious about his family and where they are.
We cannot turn them.
He talks about how they were in Gormott, and we're a little scared about that, but when we learn the name of his children as Callie and Kelly, the 2 children we rescued as part of the main plot in Gormott, we realize, hey, they're alright, we'll go get them.
We're here.
Unfortunately, his wife didn't make it, but his children are alright, and we need to go find them and get them back to their father. Pretty wholesome quest.
Anything
From
good?
there, we're going to travel to the Lasaria region, Harad Hills, to pick up this collectible spot on the ground, unique collectible spot, which is going to allow us to craft the item for the love quest. And then from there, we are going to head to the Gormott Cemetery to verify or see if Charlotte's teacher is dead. Her teacher in light glass and making. We're gonna head to Torgoth Arch here. I believe I still need some Muscle Branch.
What a pleasant stroll.
So this is the opportunity to get the additional Muscle Branch here. Because this one collection spot up here. It's also the backup spot for Puzzle Tree Wood early on in the game. It's right near where we need to be, so we can just quickly pick it up. And we get the Muscle Branch that we need, so we have everything we need now. Minoth will let us mine up the chest we need for the quest. This is part of the Charlotte quest.
Peek.
Apparently we need to find, Tyrus was their teacher's names. We learn his notes, where apparently he hid something in Nox's proximity. So we're going to be heading there a little bit later. For now, we're going to head back to the hidden hunting camp, because this is where Callie and Kelly were supposed to be at, but they're not here right now, so we don't know where they are. So we will be searching for them by using the follow trail. We need a Keen Eye level 2 for this and Focus level 2 for this. And now we're going to go to the camp and craft the item for the love quest.
now.
Laura can craft it with that special pure stone we picked up earlier. And then we can continue the other stuff we need to do here. Right now we need to head to Nox Proximity. Nox Proximity is a pretty long walk. This quest is actually one of the longest that we actually do. But you can't really replace it because it's a prerequisite to like so many community members. So you pretty much just have to do it, even though it's long. So Nox Proximity is basically all the way at the end of this little path that we're about to be on. What exactly you hit out here, I actually cannot remember. It's been a while since I casually played through the game and like really got all of the storylines perfectly, but it's something that we need to finish the quest. There it is, Nox Proximity. We have arrived. We needed mining level 2 for this, so that's why we needed that for Minoth.
Now I'm really curious.
And we get the Glassmaker's Tome. Okay. I guess that's his notes about glassmaking that he gives to his disciple, Charlotte, since that he was her teacher. And now we had to sing Bree's Bow, because we need to find Callie and Kelly. And as it turns out, they are near this area in a little in-caving here, where they're just hanging out. So we find them and tell them, hey, follow us. We got a surprise for you. So they follow us. And then, instead of taking them back to their father, we just go to the rear gate of Torna because it's faster to do that for the speedrun. So, guess they're going to be traveling with us for a little bit while we do other stuff. Alright, while here, we're going to be doing a round around the capital, essentially, and doing all the stuff we can while doing that. First things first, we're going to clear out one of the rubble that we need to clear out with a G on. We're going to talk to Tyler. Tyler loves fish. This is what we needed the assortment of fish for as well. We have to, basically, Malos killed all the fish or something, and we need to restore his population of fish. Right behind Tyler is one of the 4 Napalm we needed to search for that was littering the fields. And we're going to give Tyler some of our fish that we've collected throughout the run. And this will be the first part, and the second part is going to be giving him even more fish. One of these options is a bony-tongued shark. I don't think it's a great idea to put a shark in with a bunch of different fish, but, you know, what do I know? If you're trying to restore the population anyway.
Thanks for that.
And after that, Tyler will join our community, giving us our 17th community member.
You can rest easy now.
From there, we can talk to Nalzaz. If you see the yellow smiley face on someone, that means they'll just join your community by talking to them. This will happen if you complete certain objectives and quests.
Didn't have to, but thanks.
So, there are some community members that'll just join us just by simply talking to them. Those are my favorites. Those are the easiest to get. Here's some more rubble to clear out. Some more rubble, and we also see the unlit lantern to the left there.
I knew you could do it.
The last actually no, this is the second to last lantern we need to light. So we're gonna do that. And then we are going to head behind the building and find another one of the 4 Napon. Talk to him and say, hey, you need to go apologize to the old lady for being a jerk and littering the field. We're gonna go talk to Geo again, the dude who gave us the quest about love for his friend, and tell him we got everything we need, and he's gonna tell us, hey, meet us over near the capital, or the palace. We go and talk, we remove this rebel next to Charlotte, and then we're gonna talk to Charlotte again, and tell her what we found. And she will join our community after that.
You really shouldn't have.
Sorry for my chair noises, if anyone heard that.
How about next time you help yourselves?
That also unlocks the Hollow Charm for us. That's actually a really important pouch item that we can craft for the end of the game. So, it's actually really useful. We clear out some more rubble. We clear out the last rubble that we need to clear out. This will be the last one here. And the final lantern is to the left of this. So we light the lantern, and now we're going to skip travel to the palace. And we're going to continue doing a couple other things we need to do here. We're going to talk to Niddle, say we cleared out the rubble, and he tells us to go talk to Bry about restoring the garden. Now that the rubble's cleared out. We find the third Napon over behind this rock over here. Bry is conveniently over here as well, so we're going to talk to him. Bride tells us something about his son, and we need to go find his son, Kame. You might remember Kame, he was the very first quest in the game. So apparently Kame is late getting back, so he's wondering if something happened to him and what the heck's going on, or if he's just being lazy. Climb this ladder now, and at the top, I swapped to Laura again here. We talked to the Nopon. I was on Haze because I like Haze. Whenever we're not like actively doing anything combat related, I like playing as Haze. Don't know if I mentioned that yet, but that's why I swapped to Haze. I just like Haze a lot. She's cute. Now that we found all 4 Nopon, we can teleport back to the Median Gate, talk to Opha. And we learn the reason the Nopon do it is because I don't know, they are just lonely and miss the old lady or something.
You have my thanks.
And Opha will join our community. The 4 Nopon do not yet. They will join a little bit later after a different quest. This was a prerequisite to that different quest. And now we head to the Zarya Woodland. This will be where Kame is, at the very, very start, where he started the game. We learn that he's being attacked by a Grifox, and we need to kill the Grifox. So I go for the instant break, gets resisted. I use Swallow's Flight, go for it again. This enemy doesn't hit very hard, so I don't really care. I do it again. And we get the break finally. I use level 1 with Adam. And if I was smart, I would have gone for another break here for using Flame Bolt, so we had the blade combo damage here, but I'm not smart. So this fight's going to be slower than it should have been because I just wasn't thinking very effectively about how to do this the fastest. I was just trying to think, oh, he's toppled, I should use Flame Bolt, but the topple was about to wear off. Fortunately, this enemy doesn't have too much health, so he's already almost dead anyway. I'm just using the Ultimate Aurora there, but the fight should have just ended at the Ultimate Aurora instead of being like 10 to 15 seconds longer here, but so that's going to be one of the reasons I lose a little bit of time this split. So we talked to Kame after that. He's grateful for us for saving him, and we tell him he needs to get back to the capital right now, so he's going to head there. Then we're going to teleport back to the palace again and finish that quest. This quest is also a prerequisite to some stuff, so we need to finish it basically as soon as possible. That's why we're going back immediately. And then after this, we're going to go head back to Hypervillage to handle some stuff we need to do there.
I do only what His Majesty asks of me.
We get 2 community members out of that. So we're up to 22 out of 48. We're getting there. We're getting there.
A happy conclusion. Even on familiar ground.
Now that we're in Hyper, we need to pick up this green barrel over here. Well, basically a treasure chest equivalent. It has an item we really, really want inside of it. The crystal earrings. Or silver earrings, not crystal, sorry. Silver earrings are just a slightly lesser version of crystal earrings, but essentially we still want them because they're really important for the main final boss fight at the end of the game. Because they increase your special gauge gain when you land all the button challenges in a special. Increase your party gauge gain, I should say. And that actually matters a lot for the final fight. I'll explain when we get there. Right now, though, that was the quickest quest ever. That guy, Buzz, just wants us to get 5 Ferrous Beast Meat. So we got all the Ferrous Beast Meat a lot earlier, so we can just talk to him again, finish the quest, and he'll join our community. After that, we talked to Benny, his son, and he's like, hey, you helped my dad, so I'm going to join the community too. 2 quick, easy community members right here.
Thanks.
There's one last thing we need to do while we are here in Hyper. So our friend Macneth, who we were searching for, who's gone missing. Well, we find him hiding out in this shack all the way over here, and what we learn is that he's a spy for a different country, essentially. And he just attacks us as soon as he sees us. He also resists my break. And I just go ham on the breaks again because I'm not really worried about McNeth. So I just, yeah, we're going to break him one way or another. After that topple, I use Adam's level 1, go for another break, use Flame Bolt, press switch in Jin, and then we go for that Ultimate Aurora. The standard combo here, probably what I should have done against the Griffox. And he's just going to die from this. Pretty simple, pretty easy. After the fight, we decided to show him mercy, because Hugo's a nice guy, even though he gets really angry. But they're like, okay, from this day forward, McNeth is dead. You are now going to be someone else. So we give him a different outfit and say, hey, you're not McNeth anymore, so go into hiding if you don't want to die here. Because being a traitor is punishable by death and all that, you know. After that, we head back to the harbor. And we're going to talk to Irith, who gave us the quest. And we're going to lie to him and say that McNeth is dead. And after that, he'll join our community too.
Whoa, this is awkward.
This puts us at 26, 22 more to go. Now, if you remember, Callie and Kelly are still with us. They've been traveling with us as we've been going all over the place. Well, as we approach Headwind here, they will finally be reunited with their father, and the entire family is really happy. So all three join our community. Really big chunk of people here. Very much worth you doing this quest.
How reliable.
You didn't have to, but thanks.
That is 29 now. After this, we need to pick up another quest while we are here. Essentially, the manpower of the military in this area is running a little bit low, so we're trying to recruit some new people. And Veronica, one of the people who run the militia here, is telling Adam to go scout for people in the capital to hopefully join the militia here. So we'll be making up the numbers. After that, we need to head to the front gate of Oresco. And we are finally going to finish the lighting quest, where we had to light all the lanterns around the town. We tell him we finished our job, and he will join our community. Oh, I think ether lamps, not lanterns. Close enough.
You have our gratitude.
So Chalcedony, Chalcedony, I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's probably something. I think it's some maybe Irish name. I don't know. I remember hearing about it in Chugga's LP about what the origin of it is, but I can't remember right now. So I go and talk to Isabel. She was the Barney Stone girl from the very beginning of the game. We talked to her about potentially joining the militia. She says she'll think about it. We talked to Clark at the rear gate as well. And then after that, we are going to head to the... I think I'm actually supposed to head to the palace. I think this is where I blundered a little bit and went to the wrong place. Yeah. I got confused, I think, getting ahead of myself. So yeah, you are supposed to go to the palace here. That was some time lost because I'm dumb. We talked to Clemens. He's a yellow smiley face person, so he joins our community. And we only need one more person to get community level 3.
Thank you.
Now, I'm already losing a little bit of time here because this was kind of a sloppy section with the bad Griffox fight and the bad skip travel that I just did. So here we finish up the quest with Geo. We learn about Leo, who wants one of this item we crafted to give to a girl named Sarah, who he's decided he's in love with. So after Leo joins, we have hit community level 3, so we can split there. Now on to community 4. We need 16 more people for this. So Arb has a quest now that we hit community level 3. He is talking about building a boat, I believe. or something similar as like evacuation vessel, just in case something bad happens to the town or Torna or something like that. No terrible foreshadowing here or anything like that going on. It's just a safety measure, you know. We go and talk to Kame. He's one of the people we're required to talk to for the quest we are doing. And we talk to Luck as we're passing by, or Luke. Then if we go back behind the alley here, we'll see our 4 little Napan friends. And we'll try to convince them to join. All these people are saying that they'll consider going as we talk to them. And after them, we can talk to Jerry here, who's also one of the people we need to talk to. And finally, we're going to go talk to Akin. Akin's not actually part of the militia quest, he's actually part of the boat quest. He's one of the people who is going to be helping us out with that, so we need to go talk to him for some information about that, about what we need, and then we got to go talk to Arb again about what we have learned. And Arb tells us the materials and what kind of stuff we're going to need for everything. We need the 10 muscle branch for this. That's what we got the muscle branch for earlier. We need to find a helmswoman, navigator, something like that. And she can be found in Gormat at the Lasham Cove.
Quite the voyage.
Apparently she's a friend of Arb.
Where shall we head to next?
Makila, I believe. So either we can pay, you can pay her 200k gold, or you can just mention Arb's name and she'll do it for free. So obvious choice there because we don't have any money. After recruiting her, we're gonna head to the inn. This is when I was supposed to go to the inn. That's when I got confused a little bit earlier. So we're gonna be walking to the right as soon as we get to the inn, and it's gonna trigger a scene here. Where Leo is trying to confess his love to Sarah, and Sarah's like, I don't believe you, I don't think you actually love me. And then she's like, if you truly love me, go get this really obscure and rare item. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. So Leo goes and does that, and then we continue on our merry way, like we didn't see anything. That might be important for later. When you go talk to Charlotte, she gives us some reinforced glass, which we needed for the boat quest. That was why the Charlotte quest was a prerequisite to this. Talk to Akin. And they're like, okay, we got everything ready now, so let's head to the Yanchik Harbor, which is the harbor in Lasaria. And we can finish this quest too by just going and talking to them once we get here. Well, actually not quite finished, but we'll get 2 community members out of this, Makila and Akin both.
I do only what His Majesty asks of me.
I won't lie. It feels good.
I love the quotes that they have when people join the community. After that, we'll teleport back to the palace and finish the quest by just talking to Arb again, and he will join as well. So 3 community members from that quest. Pretty important one to do, and pretty significant rewards for it.
Well, this is awkward.
After talking to Arb, I believe we go to the inn again. And there are a couple new quests for us to pick up in that area. So to pick up this first quest, we actually need to rest at the inn. Otherwise, we can't get it. So we talk to Fred here. He has a little question mark above his head. And we go to finish level up. And Sarah and Azem will approach us. Sarah was the girl that told Leo that he needs to go find the special item. And they're worried about Leo because he hasn't come back yet. So they're like, hey, will you go search for him? And they're like, sure, why not? Irissa, across from the inn, is a yellow smiley face. So she just joins when we talk to her because she likes us. 12 people left. Alright, we go talk to Chica now. So Chica is worried about her husband. Apparently he's just fishing and she wants us to go get him. And we talked to Geo. This is part of the militia quest. And after we talk to him, assuming we talk to everyone else in that quest, we can talk to Geo again for a different quest. This is the final quest we pick up during the game, called Safety Measures. It's about building a shelter underneath the inn as a precaution, similar to the boat precaution. Just safety measures for if the capital and everything gets attacked again. You know, nothing bad is going to happen, obviously. Apparently, Wayton can help us out. Now, yeah, you might remember I mentioned the name Wayton earlier. If you don't remember, well, Geo is going to tell us who Wayton is right now. Wayton is the father of Lyda from one of the first quests we did in Gormott. And basically, Wayton doesn't want to help us out with this project, but so Geo suggests we go find Lyda and bring her back, and maybe that'll help convince him to do this.
Let's get a move on then.
We need to figure out where Lyda is gone, so we go talk to Hassan here. And he gives us some information about where she is. Then we teleport to the Lakeshore campsite.
We're here. Let's get a move
Here, Lavinia will join our community if we simply talk to her. So another free community member. Well, not free, but it's unlocked by doing the Callie and Kelly quest. That's technically the fourth from that. A lot of these community members will be unlocked after you do certain quests, which makes certain quests even more beneficial. From here, we go to the Torgoth Arch, because it's the quickest way to find Chica's husband. If we just walk over in here, into this section, we will find him. He's just happily fishing away. Harmon. It's like, yo, you guys like fishing too? I never expected to find anyone. And we tell him, hey, we're here because your wife's worried about you, and she's angry at you. And he's like, oh, crap, I better get going. So he decides he's going to leave and get going.
Aw, that's so sweet.
And presumably heads back to the capital. From here, we need to go find Lyda. So the fastest way to do that, go to Cooley Lake Camp. While we are here, we still need 2 more Sticky Stick insects. This is the last collection spot. We're going to pick up the rest of the game to get those Minoth activates, and we get all the Sticky Stick that we need. So now we need to just go talk to Lyda, who is on this large tree stump here. And we tell her about her dad who's being stubborn, and she's like, okay, I'll come back with you guys and help out. He probably misses us. After that, we're going to finally head to the Turquoise Plaza that we picked up a lot earlier in the game, that secret area. This is where we're going to find Leo. And we can finally see how pretty it is. It's one of my favorite areas. It is a really pretty area. I'm sorry I can't really show you all of it because speedrun, but I like it a lot. Really pretty colors. Leo is collapsed right in front of this Blant enemy. So, the strategy against this Blant enemy is to try to blow him down or knock him off the cliff. I'm not kidding. Now, he can resist this, and he can also just no effect if he's in the middle of using a move. So I try to time it after he uses a move, but of course he uses a move right afterwards, but I miss anyway, so it really wouldn't have mattered. So I charge up, Legion Scatter, again, my blowdown move. Try to use it there, he resists, unfortunately. He does get knocked back by someone else's move. I believe that was Bridget's, probably. He activates Snapping Blossom, the literal frame I hit him, I swear, so he also no affects that blowdown. That's a little annoying. He should have already been off the cliff by now. He's like... but finally, I get the Legion Scatter that knocks him off after like 4 attempts. Not terrible, but it could have been a lot better too. Ideally, you can do it in one attempt if you get him in the right position and he doesn't resist the blowdown. I'm talking about a plant with the he, but you know. Leo is presumably dead, based on us checking his pulse and whatever, so he leaves our community. Really sad. But he found what he was looking for, but it cost him his life. Just kidding, though, because when we talk to Sarah, Azurta brings Leo back to us, who says he survived by the power of love or something. And I don't know if it's supposed to make sense or not, but, you know. Point is, he's fine, and then he just rejoins our community, so... Not a big deal. And Sarah's like, okay, I guess life is... You should take chances in life, so like, she gives Leo a chance. Love wins in the end, right?
How reliable.
Azarn also joins the community.
Aren't you glad you
So we finish off that quest. Now we can just go talk to Chica after finding her husband, and she's like, hey, thanks, you found him. So she joins our community too. And we'll finish off this quest as well.
You didn't have to, but thanks.
7 people left.
Aren't you glad you asked us?
From there, we're going to go talk to Waiton again, now that we have his daughter with us. And when he sees his daughter and hears about how we helped her, she's like, alright, fine. I'll help out now. So he's going to help us build the shelter within the bottom of the inn.
We're here.
So we head back to the inn
Come on, then.
and head down here. We have a little friend in the room over here, Dulala. He will join our community just by talking to him.
Why, thanks.
And then we need to talk to Waiton. And here's what we needed the extra puzzle tree wood and deer wood for. I had plenty of both. But there you have it. And then that quest will finish after that, because we can successfully build the shelter.
You didn't
Apparently with only lumbar, you don't even need the other 2 things that were on there.
You didn't have to, but thanks.
And Gio will finally join our community after being involved in a bunch of stuff earlier. And now there are 4 people left.
It has been a learning experience.
To get the next person, we're going to teleport back to Gormott one more time. To Lasham Cove, and after finishing the quest with Lyda and Waiton there, someone else will join our community here.
That was quite the voyage.
Minnie. And now we will be down to 3. We are getting there.
Thank you.
So, now we need to head to Aletta. This is to finish the quest involving gathering the people for the militia. And believe it or not, this will give us the last 3 people we need, and we will have all 48 for community level 4.
Phew, we're finally here.
Veronica will join herself,
Come on, then.
along with Luke, I believe, and the 4 Napon kids. They count as one person in the community, so... Those people show up. I guess they felt motivated to be part of the militia. And we will get our last 3 here.
I am honored.
Why, thanks.
Thank you.
Community level 4. We can now progress the main story and finish the game. I do not split here. I actually split on the next cutscene skip.
I think we've done what's expected of us.
I don't gold here, but I do think I save a small amount of time. Probably because the Blant didn't get blown down fast enough, but, you know, it happens sometimes.
What a pleasant stroll.
Otherwise, it was a pretty decent community 4. Nothing too bad. After skipping the cutscene, we split community 4. I'm about a minute 45 ahead. So somehow I magically get to, like, nearly 6 minutes ahead. Gonna be interesting to see how we get there, right? Now, with all that done, we're going to rest at the end, prepare for the final battle the night before. Some interesting conversations happen between Mithra and Jin. Some interesting stuff happens with our friends that were traveling with us, Mikhail and Milton. And then we are going to head to the interior of the Torna Titan, which is the continent we're on, to confront Malos. So the fast way to do that is teleport to the beginning of the Deny Desert. I swapped the party order there because we need Hugo to move last in the chain attack order for the second and final chain attack we do in one of the final fights. It's really important that he does because Bridget has Orb Ender, so she absolutely needs to be moving at the end of the round. So if we head over here, on this, we'll get to the Lofton Nature Preserve.
Perfect base of operations.
And we get to the Sacred Staircase. Upon reaching the front of the interior, we'll get a final cutscene about where we are and asking if everyone's ready one final time. And we're going to rest at the campsite one more time, craft 2 more things for the final fights, and make sure we're fully prepared. First is the Hollow Charm. It increases special recharge and party gauge gain, a perfect item for the final fight. And the Aegis, which restores Art's recharge a little bit and gives a lot of extra special damage, which is really good for Laura. And then we level up to max. No reason not to just level up to the max level we can here.
All credit to my siblings in arms.
So, we are officially good to go. There is 2 more menus, one kind of big one right here, and then one minor, smaller one before the final section of fights. So now we just go straight ahead. We're just in the interior. Replace the Mechanized Greaves with a 3rd Gear Vest on Laura, so she has extra survivability and health. I put the Aegis on Laura over the whole Lupa, because we don't need it anymore. The Capital Under Fire is an extra book that you can put on her if you have the extra materials to spare, but it's definitely not a requirement. The Beyond Endless Dune still works fine. It's not really that much weaker than the Capital Under Fire. Adam gets the Hollow Charm. It'll be very useful for the final fight. I give the Lodronite chip to Mithra and Jin. This gives us a slight bit extra auto attack, but a lot of extra crit rate on both Mithra and Jin, which is going to be really useful. I'm going to give Hayes and Minoth the motor chip. Or Hayes and Bridget, sorry. And I'm just going to give a Gion a quick Braconite chip, because sometimes Hugo swaps to him, and I at least want him to be able to, like, contribute something, if nothing else. After that, we are good to go. Or maybe we're not. Oh yeah, I was supposed to check charts and do a couple aux cores. So we used a bit more powerful damage increases on our characters now, on our primary blades at least, that are going to be more important, which is Jin, Mithra, and Bridget. And then we check charts again. This will get everyone to B rank trust, give us a couple extra skills, which is going to increase our damage a bit more on everything. So that's nice.
Looks like I need to.
More growing to do.
You could argue some of these are not necessary, and they probably aren't, but, you know,
More power
just
for me.
in the interest of safety in some ways.
Polish to a high
I level up some of Mithra's arts and some of Jin's arts here, because they'll be doing a lot of art spamming in the coming fights that actually can make a little bit of difference. Because you'll see the next 2 splits are Core 1 and Core 2. These are kind of like marathon-type fights where enemies keep appearing. Similar to the Barney Stone we did at the beginning of the game. We just got to kill a certain amount of enemies after 3 waves. And then we'll be able to move on from those, and it'll unlock in the next section of the dungeon. There's actually 4 cores in total, but we're able to skip the last 2 because of a very funny jump that I do not like, but it's basically essential if you want world record. Here we are. Here's Core 1. The only enemies that appear in Core 1 are these, like, small Parasects enemies, I believe. Yeah, just these types. And, they're pretty easy to break, thankfully. One thing to worry about in this fight, though, is that when these enemies enrage near half their health, they'll get spike damage on every hit. So you'll just damage yourself every time you attack them. So, ideally, you want to try to, like, burst them down when they get to that range, so you're not taking too much additional damage from that stuff. You also want to make sure you're on top of your breaks and topples, because potions are your main way to heal in this fight, because you don't really want to swap to Haze to heal, because that's slower than just keeping on Jin and Laura, obviously. So I'm keeping track of my health as I'm playing through this fight, making sure I'm not getting too low. I break there, I topple. Topple gives us a larger potion. Adam launches, which gives us another potion. So we're going to use that to heal up even more. Basically, the main thing is make sure you're doing driver combos a lot so you can get the potions that are vital and important in this fight. It's more important in Core 2. Core 1 is kind of free, because the enemies don't have much health. And here's the final phase. I think 5 of them appear this time instead of 2 that appeared in the first phase and then 3 that appeared in the second one. All in all, Jin keeps getting more powerful just because we keep swapping between Laura and Jin, which stacks their transmigration skill, which increases damage every time they swap between each other. So we can kind of kill them really quickly, as you see. Alright, so I think there's one Parasax left. So I just use Laura's level 2 to try to kill it or burst it down here. And that's going to cover Core 1. Actually, I did lose a little bit of time there, unfortunately, but not a big deal. Alright, so now we're going to keep traversing the Titan and get to Core 2. Gonna have to go all the way around in like a loop in just a second to get to Core 2. You'll see the split after Core 2 is titled Run Ender. And yeah, I fully embrace that. It is probably my least favorite split in the entire run, because it is an extremely precise jump that I really do not like.
Good stuff.
And if you fail it, you lose like 15-20 seconds each time, which sucks. And it is not easy at all. Like, even for the best runner, success rate's not very high. I mean, I guess technically I am the best now, and my success rate for it is trash, so... Very easy to lose a lot of time there, and just evaporate any kind of lead you might have of a record or PB or anything like that. Although, I guess if you're running against one that doesn't have a great jump like I am here, it doesn't really matter too much. Or it's not likely to matter all that much, at least. So Phase 1 in Core 2 was the same as Phase 1 in the previous one. It's just 2 of these little small Parasacs, thankfully. So we can use that to, like, stack up max affinity, stack transmigration stacks, and that's pretty helpful. I unfortunately don't get a topple there because I think Jin either missed before it died before Jin's topple art officially came out. But another thing to keep in mind in these fights is the special you use can determine what blades your allies have out, whether it's a Gion and Minoth or Mithra and Brigid. And you want Mithra and Brigid as much as possible. They're going to hurt a lot more, typically. So that's something to keep in mind and try to keep track of as much as you can. Using certain blade combos like Stone to get fire blades out like Brigid can be very beneficial. So, these larger Parasax enemies, these ones are the annoying ones that can do a lot more damage. They take longer to kill, and the spike damage they do can be really annoying. They also have a bit of break resistance, I believe. But I think I got pretty good break RNG against them, because I don't remember... They might have resisted like once or twice, but I don't remember anything like super critical, at least. Getting that smash is going to make it to where I'm basically fine on health. So I can just safely use my level 3 here and go for this big potion and basically fully heal before the final third phase here. These cores keep getting harder and more annoying, and like I said, there's 4 of them, but thankfully we can skip the last 2. If you couldn't, that would be a lot of extra time for those. So we killed the two smaller ones really fast. We're left with the two larger enemies now. I get a break. I swap to Jin, get the red health back, get the potion. Use a special with an ally. Grab the potion, make sure we're full on health. Use Jin's level 3, which will do a lot of burst damage here. And nearly kill. After killing, I'm going to probably swap back to Laura if I had to guess. Yep. Use Hugo's special. And then I just use Laura's special to end it as fast as I can here. Really good core 2 overall. A gold split, not by much of course, but still a gold split. Hard to save too much time in these sections if you don't like mess up. And now we are going to head to the run-ender, the jump. So this jump is extremely precise. Basically, you can jump on the side of a gate and just go around it. And that's why you can skip the 2 core fights. It's really, really precise, like I said. I'm actually surprised it's even in the game at all. I mean, you'd think they'd probably test something like that, but I guess it's so hard to hit they didn't even try. My success rate is probably somewhere between 10 to 20% if I had to guess. I'm really not that great at it. The other runners are probably better at it than I am.
Who's in?
I swapped to Haze here because my success rate with Haze doing this jump is a lot higher than vice versa, or with anyone else. You can also jump on either side. I've always been a lot better at doing it on the left side. My success rate on the right side is extremely low. But, fortunately for me,
Nice one.
I can jump up here, jump to the side of the gate right here, and I just kind of just go for it. And we get it. First try. A lot of time. We are now 4 minutes and 18 seconds ahead, and we got a gold split because I just did that amazingly. Didn't waste much time trying to position myself or, like, align myself with anything. I just kind of glanced at it like I normally just do it. I find that thinking about it too much can make it more difficult. And just trying to, like, set things up properly will make you lose even more time. So I just kind of just go for it a lot of times now like that. And I get lucky enough to get it. Or I guess I should say it was all skill, right? At the top here, we are going to do our final little menu here. We're going to give the crystal earrings we picked up to Adam to increase party gauge gain every time we get an excellent on a special. It basically means we hit all the button prompts. And we're going to put a gauntlet on Hugo to give him increased special recharge.
I am always learning.
We're also going to get some final skills for the final section of fights here. Hugo, we're going to get Flightly fills party gauge for excellent. This affects the entire party. On Laura, we get reduced break resist. That's really important. That helps a ton. We're going to get some skills on Adam's left side of his skill tree. The most important being increased crit damage and increased special recharge. And then with that done, we are going to head into the final fights. The first fight is fighting Malos with 2 enemies. 2 mech enemies. I don't think they're gargoyles this time because they're like we did something different. I can't exactly remember what they are. Maybe they are called gargoyles. I'll know after this. Ideal strategy is just like we did the initial wave of gargoyles earlier. If you get the break, it's basically over. All you got to do is topple, or let Hugo topple, extend with Adam, use your level 1 with Adam, keep extending, but don't go too low on health so Laura doesn't swap to Haze. And then Jin will come in, Ultimate Aurora on the topple. This is a stacked fusion. We've done 2 blade combos on the topple already, so our damage is increased on this by like 100%. And we almost destroy his entire health bar. And now 3 blade combos are on there, which is like 150%. So we bring in Mithra to just kind of annihilate the rest of his health bar. Okay, so Artifice Colossus. Yes, it's not gargoyles this time. Ideally, if Jen stays out, you can end these fights really quickly by using the right blade combos. And that's kind of what we're going to focus on here. I go ahead and use Adam's level 2 here, I believe, or level 3 maybe, to end this one. These enemies can actually take longer to kill than it is appearing here, but I kind of played this pretty well overall, I would say. So Mithra's going to finish this one off. And now we got one more Colossus enemy. Now that it's broken, I'm just going to use Mithra's level 3 on the topple here. And that's going to just annihilate most of the rest of its health bar. I'm gonna bring in Adam, just spam my arts to finish the fight. And that's another gold, because I got the basically perfect Malos topple. Alright, this next Malos fight. This is basically the final boss fight. It features an entirely unique mechanic, where you have a Siren meter instead of your normal party gauge. And you want to be able to activate the Siren gauge 4 times to get extra damage against Malos and end the fight as fast as possible. This is what we wanted that special recharge for. So, Malos has way more health in this fight. Way more. Every time I land an excellent special, as you might be able to tell, I'll get a lot of party gauge. I swap to Mithra after setting up the Volt. And then I'm just going to start spamming level 1s. Since we have blade combos up and level 1 can't extend that, we can just keep doing this. I'm not going to use Jin's Ultimate Aurora just yet. I'm going to activate the Siren Gauge once before. And then as soon as this goes off, I am going to use one more level 1 with Mithra while the Ultimate Aurora is still, or while the Flame Bolt's still active, and then Ultimate Aurora right after I do that, to get another chunk of Party Gauge or Siren Gauge for this next section. And then while the Ultimate Aurora is still active, right before it ends, I'm going to use one more Mithra level 1 here. And then we can use a different blade combo. Normally I'd like to use a Gion here, but he's swapped to Hugo too fast here. So I just go with the Stone and swap to Minoth here and get the Dark Orb. We need to get all 8 orbs. That's another thing we have to focus on in this fight. So, after getting Gravity, I should have chain attacked well before now. I kind of messed up there. I could have saved like 5 to 10 seconds there if I would have been paying attention to the Siren Gauge a little bit more. I use Haze's Wind, so the only things we need now is Gion's Water and Mithra's Photon. I get Photon there. I would have liked to have gotten Aqua, but Hugo can swap to a Gion and we can get Aqua right after that. Ideally, I want to get Aqua as soon as possible so I can get Bridget back out, because a Gion can launch on switch, and we don't want him to launch. And the reason for that is we want to have Malos toppled so Adam can extend it near the end of the fight. We've now done Siren 3 times, so we need to do it one more time before we can actually chain attack properly. We've got all 8 orbs now, so I can just spam level 1 with Mithra and get my party gauge as fast as possible. The one thing you really need to watch out for this fight is Monado Eater. Stay as far away from him as you can. And so when you can easily run away when he uses Eater, so you don't get your Blade Affinity down, because that'll make special recharge a lot more annoying and harder. And once the Eater's gone, I'm going to use Stone with Hugo here, so he'll bring out Bridget. Because Stone leads to Volcano, which is a fire blade combo, so he'll bring out Bridget instead of a Gion once he swaps back in. This is the 4th Siren, so now we can go for just gaining party meter gain. And I almost had the most amazing fight ever here, but I slightly messed it up from just using specials in the wrong order, unfortunately. Gion's still out, because I guess the Stone didn't register, so this is actually a little bit unlucky. Fortunately, I think he does swap to Bridget in just a second. Or no, he doesn't actually. I just, since he's already out, he can't launch. He only launches when he switches in. So here's the problem, though. Laura also launches when she switches in, and she does it there, because I wasn't paying attention and didn't realize just where I was. And I got really low on health also because of, the fact that I was trying to extend that topple with the fusions I was setting up on it, because we want to chain attack on top of this fusion here to get as much damage as possible and in the fight as fast as possible. So I slightly messed up there, unfortunately. But ideally what you want to do is wait for Laura to break, so she's out and she can't launch anytime soon, since she won't be able to switch in for a while. And then use your 2 ally specials while you just go ham, extending the topple. Adam topples when he swaps back in. So you swap him in and then just extend it forever when he comes back in, or as much as you can. And unfortunately, Malice has resisted break a couple times here, so I wasn't able to get it going as fast as I would have liked. I lose about a minute 15 or to a minute 30 here from this, unfortunately, compared to if I would have just gotten it on that initial one I was doing. So I topple Malos, and now I'm just going to go ham on this. Since Laura's already out and she hasn't even swapped yet, there's no risk of launch at all. So I can just keep extending this topple. So she swaps in Haze. I wait for Haze to heal so I can get one more extension off. And then I chain attack. So I've used 2 blade combos on top of this topple, so I get 100% extra damage here from the fusion combo damage bonus multiplier. You want to use the same chain attack order here every time with all 8 orbs. It's Adam, Laura, Bridget. They need to do that to break the water orb, so you get the guaranteed next round. Adam, then Haze, and then Bridget again. Adam will break the earth orb. Haze will do damage to the ice orb, and then Bridget will burst the ice orb. This will let Jin do his full damage. If you have an orb on an enemy, you do less damage with that element, so that's something I probably should have mentioned earlier. And then we use Mithra. She'll hit the dark orb. We use Jin. He will hit the wind orb. And then Bridget. Bridget will target one of the 2, depending on which one she targets. It will depend on who gets the full burst. It doesn't really matter. Although Mithra would be better just because she's the faster option. Unfortunately, Bridget targets the dark orb, so I have to use an extra special in this chain attack, since Mithra's not going to target the wind orb unless you get lucky. So Jin's going to break the wind orb. We get the full burst. It'll break the rest of the orbs, gives us an extra damage bonus on this full burst. And that is going to be the end of Malos. So, the game's not quite over yet, even though that was basically the real final boss. There is actually one more enemy. It's one of those fights you literally can't lose at all, but you can still lose time on it, which I actually end up doing. So that Malos fight, I could have had like a really insane gold if I would have gotten the original chain attack, but unfortunately I didn't lose too much time over like a standard-ish time there. But I did route that fight kind of better, like how I was doing it, than most people have done in the past, and like found a really good way to do the fight to get it in like 5 minutes. Unfortunately, I couldn't execute there and save even more time and have like a really, really solid record here, but this is still be a pretty difficult record to beat. It's still really good. So, there's a really long ending sequence before this point, where a lot of stuff happens to Torna, a lot of stuff happens to our party, and we're separate from them. And we find Gort. This is some interesting information about the origin of Blade Eaters, where Gort kind of got modified on and everything. You can't lose this fight, but there is an optimal way to do it, but I just kind of was... My mind wasn't thinking perfectly, because I was like, oh crap, I'm going to get world record. There's basically no way. You cannot lose this fight, so I had it basically wrapped up. But unfortunately, I get a little unlucky at certain points in this fight. Like, right here in a second, he, like, knocks me down before I can get the freeze off, so I have to reset the combo to level 1. Like, he uses this blow down here, so I can't swap to Jin, and the topple comes out right before I can get the freeze off. Or right when the ice expires, so I can't get freeze off, so it goes back to ice again. It was also unfortunate that the topple just expired before the freeze happened. I guess I was slightly too far away for it to go off on the topple to give me extra damage. So there's just a lot of annoying stuff going on here. So I use freeze one more time here, since it's just with level 2. And I'm going to try to end it here as fast as I can, but unfortunately he's a jerk. And does this move again, which blows down Jin as I try to swap him in. And before I can finish him up by just using Jin's art, he kills me. But I'll just stand up again and fight again. He's just wasting time at this point more than anything. I'll have to review a bit more how to do this fight, because, meh, if I play this again. But overall, 2:28:46, 4.5 minutes ahead of world record. 5 minutes and 44 seconds ahead of my previous PB. I had been trying to get a run like this for a while, but I'd always mess up something at the end. Or not even at the end. Sometimes there's just a lot of runs that got ended early. Like I said, I did a ton of attempts trying to get this run, but I was really, really, really happy and satisfied with it. There's definitely still more time save. A lot of golds are just a lot of time I lost that I could easily get back. Definitely get a better final Malos and Gort fight here. But overall, really fun run, and yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the more fun speedruns despite the RNG. It's pretty relaxed, and the side quest routing is actually pretty interesting for an RPG speedrun, for sure.
Shameless. To the very end.
I'm sure there's already commentary over this video, but I just want to say that you guys have no idea how long I've been trying to get this time. Something would always happen that would just ruin it. Like, I would get screwed by the gate jump I suck at. Sorry. Or just, a bunch of things. I would maybe die to Malice at the end, maybe die to Malice 1, maybe die to Gargoyles. But overall, this was a really solid run. It had pretty good RNG overall. Gormont was kind of mediocre RNG, but besides that, I had really good break RNG throughout in a lot of places. Collectible RNG in Lasaria was really good. Coletta was pretty good.
That I am certain of.
Jagron was really sketchy because my mother came into my room because it's Easter, and yeah, I got really distracted first phase of that. I probably already talked about it in my commentary over the video.
I suppose.
Yeah, this was a really, really good run overall, I think. I did get a little trolled on Malice 3. I thought I was about to have like the Malice 3 that was going to be like the most amazing fight ever. But Laura launched.
You're right.
Wasn't thinking about the positions of the characters. I didn't realize Bridget was the one who broke.
Blades and humans
And
are bonded.
since Bridget was already out, I wasn't thinking, since the GM wasn't out, I wasn't thinking anyone could launch, so I was just like extending Topple infinitely, and then I just kind of forgot that Laura launches when she swaps back in. Yeah, without that blunder, if I would have done the specials in the right order there, I probably could have gotten a really, really good time on that fight. Easy gold, probably really hard to beat gold as well, but I mean the time still wasn't that bad. It just took a little bit to get another break afterwards, unfortunately. Gort, I kind of forgot what I was doing there for a little bit there, but not a big deal. Yeah, pretty good run overall. I guess I will leave it to my commentary self to say anything else if there's anything else left to say, so I'm just going to mute myself and watch the credits for the 50th time. To be honest, I don't have much more to say myself, as the one version of me commenting over the video, so I guess I'll just say, if you did watch this entire speedrun and enjoy the commentary, thank you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're looking forward to more Xenoblade content, enjoyed the video, and want to see more stuff like this. I'll be doing more speedruns for a lot of different Xeno games in the future. So, and I'll be making guides for all the Xenoblade 3 content. I'll be making a ton of videos on that, so definitely look forward to that. Honestly, I don't really know what else to say myself. I think I covered it. I think I covered most everything. So, I guess if you have any questions, make sure to ask in the comments. And yeah, have a wonderful and blessed day, everyone.
In the course of a lifetime, a man will see uncountable meetings and partings. Yet, as your life's candle sputters and dies, whose face is it that rises to greet you? Happy is the man who can sleep in the comfort of the smile he sees then. No, I don't wish for forever. Even just for one moment. It's enough if it's with her. And yet, what is the man to do who has not been afforded that chance? The road stretches on without end. I cannot but walk down it. As long as I keep walking, I can hold out hope that one day the time may come when I see her smile again. That hope keeps me afloat.
You won't come back.
This is the road I must walk. Our paths won't cross. But Should we, in fact, ever meet again? On that day,